One of those, yeah.
Good evening. This is a meeting of the Wareham Finance Committee on Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. We are in room 27 in the Wareham Town Hall. This meeting is on Zoom, and I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Roll call. Bernie.
Here.
Jerry.
Here.
Alan. Heidi.
Here.
Brianna.
Here.
And myself, Jody. At this time, I'd ask everybody that can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I just have one quick comment. You can see what we have tonight, a lot of important issues. And I'd like to ask if the chair of the school committee and the select board would like to come up and join us. You can, Phil, welcome. So you can see what's going on.
Oh, I could see fine, but thank you.
Yeah, if you have questions, just,
Okay. Whatever you like.
My gosh, decisions.
And they all be so simple.
Okay, this time I'm going to ask the superintendent of Upper Cape Tech to please join us. See right over there. And could you introduce yourself and proceed with your presentation?
Happy to do so. Roger Forget, Superintendent, Upper Cape Tech. Pleasure to be here this evening. I do apologize, I wasn't here last week. We had some changes from the Department of Education on numbers, so but they've been updated. So we are all set today. You have the presentation in front of you. Also emailed it to Mr. Smith today, and we will email it to the chair of the select board as well tomorrow morning. But let's start off with our first page, which is our budget subcommittee. Our subcommittee is made up of Michael Deegan from the town of Sandwich, Dominic Camarano from the town of Wareham, our chair, Robert Fitchemeyer from the town of Wareham, and Mary Ann Smith. Wareham is well represented on our budget subcommittee. This is a snapshot of some of the activities that Upper Cape Tech gives back in a form to our 5 sending towns. Ways for us to support our towns because you are supporting us. I hate for you not to have one.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So as you look at this, you can see right off the top, our automotive collision repair did some body works and paint for the Wareham Police Department on one of their trucks. You notice we go through carpentry, electrical, environmental. Again, all projects within our towns in ways for us to give back to help our town save money. It also provides our students a sense of accomplishment as well as ownership within their communities, which is part of our charge and part of our mission. Turning the page, and if I'm going too fast, you have questions, please, by all means, simply ask away. Cooperative education or cooperative employment, I'm happy to tell you that and share with you that Upper Cape Tech is, for the second year in a row, we have the highest percentage of co-op students in the Commonwealth. Their total earnings, 1.492118, almost $1.5 million, which is roughly a little over $6,000 earned by each student for the 24-25 school year. As you turn the page for enrollment, you'll see that we have continued to increase. And I've been at Upper Cape now in excess of 20 years, and that began way back when, and it has continued to grow. Upper Cape Tech was built for 500 students and we are pushing almost 900 as we move in today.
What do you view your capacity to be?
Well, we actually have changed that considerably because we have continued to expand and build buildings on our campus itself. We've changed our schedule, and I'm sure we could accommodate as we're moving into MSBA to add to our gymnasium. We have a 28-year-old roof, which is actually a 20-year-old warranty on it, but we're good stewards about it. So we've continued to maintain that, but it does need to be replaced. That, along with our science labs to be added to from where they are currently. They have us almost at 1,000 students for capacity is what they're looking at. But if you really look at the outer buildings, it's probably closer to 12.
I must add, Roger, the way you've arranged your campus, it has a college flair to it.
Thank you. And that was the intent, and that was intentional on the part way back when we began this to expand it out and pushing all of our vocational shops out into each of their own buildings, making those unique onto themselves. And again, we've done that no cost to the towns. We've done that as learning lessons for all of our shop areas: carpentry, electrical, plumbing, horticulture, HVAC, all of it coming together to really, again, put in ownership and instill ownership for our students at Upper Cape Tech.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
I'm not sure if this is accurate or not. My understanding is that you've applied for students to actually come there for education and not for the technical part. They don't have to take any of the courses. I think it's pending. I don't think it's happened.
So that has not happened yet, but a change into the academic schedule, because at one time Related was part of the academic cycle. We are a week about, 1 week in shop, 1 week in classes. And Related, which is the academic component related to that vocational area, was taught during the academic week. Principal has changed that in expanding and trying to follow where the state wants us to go, in making that part of the vocational timeframe. And so now that happens during the vocational week. So potentially, in theory, you could have a student that would come to Upper Cape Tech, could take academics fully and avail themselves to a shop area as an elective, if they so wish. Currently, the schedule at Upper Cape Tech does not allow for electives.
If that does come to fruition, will that increase your capacity for students?
No, because you're going to be capped at once at a particular point. You will certainly become super saturated, for lack of a better term, on the campus itself. MSBA, as we start through the process, and we've just been voted into the feasibility portion of the process, has us capped at, as I mentioned earlier, at about 1,000 students. Going beyond that will be something as we look at where do we want to bring this? And we go into the design phase, what does that look like? And again, we have no desire to build a new high school. I'm extremely content with the school that we have. We've been very good stewards. It's 60 years old. To walk through it, it is clean and pristine inside. The students and the staff maintain it that way.
Appreciate the information.
Turning to the next page, our foundation enrollment, and that is by town. And you'll see that you have an increase in Wareham of 15 students this year. You'll notice I added a column this year, again, in trying to be transparent and very, very clear with all of the towns and the town people. LPNs are included in the foundation budget. That is part of DESE and DOR, the Department of Revenue. They include the students that come in post-secondary by town if they live in those towns. So what I have done here is to show you exactly what you have for 9 through 12, as well as there are 3 students that are LPN students currently at Upper Cape Tech, which are part of the foundation budget.
LPN student.
Licensed practical nurse. Many of our health career students will achieve their CNA while they're in high school. and then apply to go to the LPN program. It really is becoming a stepping stone now to go on to RN and beyond. You're welcome. As we turn to the next page, I
just have a quick question about that.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's quite
So
all
when
right.
you say the LPN, I can see when you talk
You
about
can
the
see that I'm
LPN
doing the
program,
bold
is
thing
that
on top. My hair is from pulling it out. You got a better view.
that's okay. When you talk about the LPN program, is that the continuing education that like adults go into, or
It is.
what are those 3 students? Oh, okay.
It is.
Okay,
That is
perfect. Thank you.
Post-secondary, so post-high school. You're very, very welcome. The next page that you have here is your net school spending. This is an indicator of how the towns actually support education within your town. Foundation is the base amount that the state sets that a town must support their school system with. Everything above is above your net school spending, so it is above foundation. Again, Upper Cape Tech's amount is divided by 5 towns. We are extremely frugal and we do not take your support lightly. We appreciate it. Turning the page, you'll see the per pupil comparison. Again, this is an operating assessment. This is FY24, which is based off of DESC, right off of their website. The cost and the column on the right is for the particular towns. You'll see Wareham's there. The first column is the operating assessment for Upper Cape Tech. As you can see, Upper Cape Tech is a deal every day of the week.
Okay, so the left-hand column, I'm sorry, the left-hand column is Upper Cape, and the right-hand column is what? The town?
The town itself, yes.
So, just so that the public does not have this in front of them, Wareham's per pupil is $24,083 in the town department, and for Upper Cape, it's $13,628, is that correct, sir?
That is correct. If you were to go to the slide prior to, you'll notice that the difference on your net school spending has it in place of exactly what that difference is. Wareham is supporting their towns, and that is a great thing, $9 million above foundation. Upper Cape Tech's again is $846,000, $866 actually, and that's divided by 5 towns.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does this operating per pupil, what expenses does it include? I mean, like if you have a budget,
Yes.
you have depreciation, interest, and all of that. Does that include the total cost?
It does not. So Upper Cape Tech, like the town of Wareham, functions as a municipality. We are responsible for all of our healthcare, our retiree healthcare, our OPEB, snow removal, maintenance of our buildings, maintenance of your grounds. All of those pieces play in, and that's why this is purely just an operating number that you have in front of you.
Roger, was there a reason you left Marion off that net school spending page?
Because Marion is actually just K through 8, and then it goes into Old Rochester, which becomes very convoluted because it's multiple towns. So that's why I left it off, just because of how they do it.
Okay.
So some of the items, the drivers for our budget this year: contractual obligations, insurance increases, vocational supply cost, and increase in student enrollment. The FY27 preliminary budget.
Wait.
Yes.
Back up, please. How does an increase in student enrollment be a budget driver, please?
So as our budget continues to increase, as the enrollment goes up, so does the cost and so does the amount coming. Not only for your chapter 70, but the assessment to the towns.
Okay.
I can't think of another district, not a VOTEC, another district that wouldn't have as a budget driver the contractual obligations to pay their staff.
And you'll see that in here.
Okay, but you don't list it.
I don't,
Is
because that's every year and that's a driver, that's a constant rather than a variable.
Okay,
So, the FY '27 preliminary budget,
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, so back to budget drivers.
yes.
Vocational supply costs, are we talking about pads of paper, screwdrivers,
Screwdrivers, yes, not so much pads of paper, but certainly that's a piece of it. Supplies in general for all of our technical areas. So the cost of a 2x4 has gone up.
okay,
The cost of metal, anything that we're doing in our HVAC, cost of copper, PEX, all of those things are continuing to just increase, and they increase faster than what we can possibly budget for. Our budget is based off of, it's really a year behind as we're moving in, and these drivers and increases are continuing every day.
so when you go to buy, we'll just use 2x4s as
Yep.
an example. Do you have to, how do you decide who you are purchasing from whom you are purchasing?
So, depending on the amounts that you're doing, anything under $10,000 is using best business practices. Just like our town administrator here, Derek Sullivan, I am certified MCPPO as well. So if I have to go out to bid, if I'm doing that, if I'm looking for a minimum of 3 bids in particular from different contractors, so i.e. Falmouth Lumber, Mid-Cape, Wood Lumber, right here in town. So that's how we would purchase them.
So do you have, again, I'm gonna use 2x4s because, okay.
Certainly.
So you have X number of students in what I'll call shop, whatever, okay. And you think that you're gonna use however many running yards of lumber, or do you buy as you go?
Yes. So we're
Yes,
not.
that
we're
was
not-
2 questions, yeah, I got 1 yes.
So yes, we're buying as we go, we're
Okay.
planning ahead,
Okay.
but in some of that as well, we're planning to assist our towns. So if I can incorporate a framing project for my carpentry crew, so that I'm not buying all of those 2x4s now to do that at the school itself, I can buy something different material wise to assist them as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
can we go back a couple of pages? Because I've been around so long, I remember when Upper Cape was more expensive than regular public school students. And Desi says that the state of Massachusetts is shrinking in terms of total number of students by 7% over the last 20 years. We have shrunk over the same 20 years, 41%, which is obviously an extraordinarily difficult situation from a budgetary perspective. You have grown, any idea what your percentage growth has been over the last 20 years? I'm not saying you've been around that long.
No, I have been, so.
But I have, okay.
I have been, John. No, I actually have not figured that out to see what it's grown. I can tell you that the school again was built 60 years ago for 500 students. I can't tell you what the growth has been, but I could if I wanted to.
Because I remember when you were more expensive and now we flipped. And I think the primary driver of that is student enrollment.
I would agree.
At least in our case.
It's also, yes, I would agree with that, because that affects your net school spending on the other side in
Right.
a major way,
Major.
right? I mean, that's why you're seeing such a large amount as you're looking at all the schools. And again, it's back to being very, very cautious. We really can, if you're staying in step with your local schools and your enrollment is increasing, can you imagine to get to, and I'll use the $9 million as a net school spending piece, to that level, we'd be 16, 17, 18% increases yearly all the way along. It's not possible. It's not palatable for the towns to even do so. So in staying very in step with just particular increases, that's why you've seen our what we have, a remainder of the net go down lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, it's the reciprocal of our problem. You have economies of scale. You cost less per student as a superintendent, right?
Yeah.
And our superintendent keeps costing more per
We-
student. Yes.
And it's not because he's not doing the
Exactly.
very best he can.
This is
'cause-
just pure
No,
economics.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Yes.
would agree.
Okay.
So again, there are other people watching this and they don't necessarily get to ask the question.
Sure.
Could you please explain net school spending for the general public? Because that's gonna be something that we talk about later on as well.
So your required net school spending is, again, it gets back to your minimum foundation budget that you have set for your school. The Department of Revenue will set based on your municipal revenue factor, your growth factor within the town. Those are bases off of the average income as well as property values that are all included in. There's someone behind a closed door up there at DOR that's crunching all these numbers and coming up with exactly what that growth factor is and how that municipal revenue factor plays into where your net school spending is per town. So that will set the basis, and each year off of the cherry sheet, schools will receive, towns will receive exactly what your chapter 70 aid is and that amount, and I will share with you that the state, the Commonwealth, has not funded education as they should for chapter 70 aid. It is down considerably from where all of us thought it would be going. That now turns around and puts the onus back on the towns. So your assessment to really fund education within your town goes back onto the town to increase that, which again gets back to why you're $9 billion over foundation.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so back onto our preliminary budget. I've included this year because in our conversations in the past, I put the percentages of what the increase is on each line item from last year to this year, so that you can actually see them. So as it pops up, instead of going through and just having numbers, you can see, is this within range, which really gets to what we had said earlier about, are we staying in step, school to school, town to town, and what's happening? So I've included that in here. As we go through each page, and I won't go through every line here, I would ask that you, if you have a question, please ask it, and I am happy to explain it. I'm sure the first one comes up on the teaching services, and that is for the teacher salaries. And Jeff made mention to it earlier about steps and lanes and how that is a driver. That's a constant in every budget, whether it's mine, whether it's Wareham, whatever it might be. Education is unique. When I was a carpenter, as a union carpenter, you had a percentage increase for your salary, for your hourly wage. That's not true in education. In education, it's your years of service along with your years of education, and it keeps moving over, so it can increase significantly for an individual or for your entire staff. I'm very blessed with the staff that I have at Upper Cape. They come, they stay, they don't leave. It also pushes them to be at the very bottom of the pay scale or top of the pay scale, depending on how you're looking at it. So it does play in. Additionally, in here, I have a math teacher, English teacher, and special ed teacher included in that line item, which is why you see the increase to be 9.8.
So, so you will have how many different bargaining units?
I have only Unit A and Unit B, so I have teachers, and then I have my administrative group, which is made up of 6. Very small, and they're all part of MTA.
So your assistant salaries are also, or are they not?
They are not, they're all non-contractual. We do have a handbook, we do have a scale that we set, and we base it usually off of what's negotiated with the teachers and with the administrators.
And how long are your contracts, please?
3 years.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
When was the last time you ponied up?
So we are finishing our first year. We'll be going into our second year starting in September. So I'll be negotiating my last contract right before I retire and leave. So I have 2 more years after this year.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I know Matt is leaving this year. He's smiling in the back. If we turn the page, again, everything seems to be pretty much in sync other than the instructional technology. And that is because of the additional Chromebooks that we are anticipating for next year's freshman class.
And would, I'm sorry,
No, by all means.
each child in the, each student would have one? Is that
Yes, we are one-to-one
already?
already. Yep. Because the question will arise. In the past, we have had 235, 245 students as a freshman class because lottery has changed how vocational students are admitted into a school system. At Upper Cape, we wanted to embrace what the governor and the Board of Education just pretty much mandated us to do. So all of the students that applied by January 5th were admitted and accepted. Of those, I can't give you the exact number, but I can tell you that it's a pretty high count. So our next year's freshman class should be 352 seats.
Do they take the Chromebooks home?
They are, yes. Yep, they are allowed to do so. We have software in place that once they return, if they have not been good stewards with the Chromebook, and helping to educate them on appropriate use, we get an update right away that we probably should take a look at that and see. But it is part of our mission to help them to appropriately use technology.
Back to your 352, do you have an idea as to which town or towns they are coming from, roughly?
I do. I can share with you the exact numbers, but I'm not here because I don't have them with me. Part of the ruckus for the not having the correct numbers was because for the town of Bourne, of the 142 students in their 8th grade, 101 families applied.
What? Could you, would you mind sending me that information?
I'm happy to do so,
Thank you.
absolutely,
Yep.
yep. Actually, this coming Saturday, we will have our placement testing. And obviously, students and families have right up until the very first day of school to certainly change their mind and what they might want to do, wherever they might want to go. And we support that. We'll have a better idea of exactly that number because part of our goal was to, in having lottery and pulling a number out of a hat just does not seem like that is the best solution for students to choose which high school they go to. So we allowed everyone to come in, because if it's really about access, and that's what the governor's office said, and that's what the Board of Education said, then we wanted to embrace that and open that door up so that we provided access. In the past, it's always been a merit-based system. So we encouraged all of our 7th and 8th graders in our sending towns to really put their best foot forward. It wasn't about the A student who wants to go to MIT. It was about the C student who truly wants to be in that carpentry shop and has made every effort to stay on that path because that's where they want to go and that's what they want to do. That has always been our mission. And so it has changed because of what has happened with lottery. I will know by June of exactly how many of the acceptances have been accepted. I kind of know that already, but I will have a better idea. Those seats that are left open, I will then open up to anyone who has applied after January 5th. And we'll see what that number is, but we will not exceed 352.
So following up, your class sizes, how many students do you lose after 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade?
So for the
And how
town,
many do you replace them one for one? So it's a two-pronged, but you can do that in one.
yeah. So I'll use the example of this past year. We lost 5 students who signed out from the town of Wareham. Will we have 5 that want to sign back in 10th grade? I won't know that. I'll need to look at that and see. Traditionally, that doesn't usually happen, so a little bit of attrition in there. But the graduation classes have continued to grow exponentially each year. So we're well over 200 students that graduate now from Upper Cape Tech, walking across the stage.
So presuming so those 200, what did they start at? How many were there before the 200 graduated?
So last year's was
Roughly.
245, and right now we have 232, I think is what we have, 231, something like that.
But this,
More bluntly.
Yep.
Your freshman class, by the time it gets to the 12th grade, how many of them have left? Percentage.
I wanna say less than 10%.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
so there's 352.
Yes.
You got your rough number is you're gonna keep approximately how many?
352.
Oh, I thought you'd have some decide between now and
Oh, that are going to accept the acceptance? Again,
Yes.
that's up to the family. I won't know
no
that.
feel.
No, I won't know that until, well, this coming Saturday will certainly be an indicator because those are students that are all taking the test
Yeah.
for placement of where they will be placed in their schedule for next year.
But the 352 is a unique number and year because it's the first time under the
Yes.
lottery.
Again,
So
yes.
that's going to be a very interesting
Yes,
level of attrition, whatever it is.
whatever it might be.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree.
And by the way, philosophically, we're on the exact same page.
I knew we were years ago, Jeff. When we both showed up at MIAA for the student, I knew right away. So, other questions? Okay. In moving forward, again, I am now on student services on that page. And again, for medical and health, that is our 2 school nurses as well as the supplies that we have. And as our student body increases, so does the number of Band-Aids and other supplies.
The 7.47 for medical health service.
Yep, that's our 2 school nurses along with all of the supplies. That's what I was just mentioning. And as we move into having more students, the number of Band-Aids and other
But
pieces.
that includes salaries.
That includes the salaries of both school nurses.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Which
and
is-
they are on the Unit A teachers contract
Oh, they
as
are?
well. Oh, yes. Yep, that was something I inherited.
Okay, so that's the reason it's so much higher than, okay.
So,
On the next page.
yeah,
Oh, sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
Are your coaches also teachers?
Many of them are, but not all.
Roughly 50-50,
Probably-
30-70, whatever?
Probably more than that, probably 70-30.
70% of the coaches are
Or
also.
staff, or staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Because I have my facilities director as the basketball coach. I have some of our paraprofessionals that are coaches and club advisors. One of them's partly involved, which is pretty unique. We have a fishing club that has over 40 students that participate in it, and they go down to the river, they go out in the school boat, they have guest lecturers come in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
An excellent volleyball team.
And an excellent volleyball team, yes. On the next page, you'll notice, it'll jump out at you, our heating and utilities, we have a 0% increase. Again, because of the solar array that we have, the new boilers that we purchased some 5 years ago, I believe we can keep it within range. Our facilities director does not like it very warm. So we huddle together a little bit closer, but I think we'll be fine.
Quick question about your 352. Because it's such a unique situation and number, do you have any idea what percentage of those, that number have IEPs?
I do not, and that really won't come about until they've actually had the full acceptance, done the placement testing, and their files will actually come over. So they do the transition meetings with our special ed director. So that number won't be known to us until June.
And what is it now, before this lottery situation?
We're about 29% of our students, somewhere in that range.
I would not have guessed that. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does that include 504s?
It does not. It does not. And truly, you're coming to Upper Cape Tech, most of our learners are hands-on learners. What and why they needed an IEP prior to was just a very different learning style. So it weans, to Jeff's point, it starts to wean right off as you're going into your senior year, junior year. Because really to get out on co-op, you want the student prepared to be there on their own. Again, we're teaching a work ethic. We're teaching those pieces that need to be instilled in our students to go right into careers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As you turn the page, again, our maintenance of buildings, you'll see there, operations. I mentioned insurance, but it wasn't health insurance. And to Derek's credit, to your town administrator here, our conversations, we moved from the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group to the Mayflower. And we are able to reap those benefits. You'll see the percent increase here, where if the district was still in the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, that would be a very different percentage increase. The insurance I spoke about, and you'll see the numbers, is building insurance. And it is the cost, and those costs are just being transferred over. We are looking, there are very few companies out there that really will insure buildings of our size, of what we have, and the number of buildings that we have. Philadelphia is the current underwriter for all of our insurance, and we're not able to change a whole lot of that. School choice, Upper Cape Tech does not participate in school choice. This is DOR that is moving money in and out for a student that may be coming from Bourne going to Falmouth, or from Wareham going to Sandwich to a Chapter 74 program. On the next page, so our foundation budget this year, $21,379,762, a 6.02% increase. I mentioned earlier about our Chapter 70 aid. You'll see that again has a very small increase, $4,786,960. Our anticipated interest revenues slightly up. Our anticipated municipal Medicaid. And then E&D, our excess and deficiency. The school committee, again, trying to help out with the towns, put an increase of $350,000 against the budget to, again, trying to reduce and bring the cost down. The total here, $5,226,960. That's an 11.2% increase in aid to our budget. Our net foundation budget, $16,152,802. Again, a 6.79% increase. As I mentioned earlier, because we act as a municipality, it is very different than just the school budget. Transportation. Transportation by the district increased slightly, again, so we are up $364,727. You'll see our contract transportation with Lucini Busing has not changed. Our total transportation, $1,544,227, again, a 1.37% increase. Our anticipated transportation aid, which comes right off of the cherry sheet, is $1,432,341. That gives us a net transportation of $111,886. Questions?
Is that normal? You get that much aid?
It is. And you'll see it from the year before on 26. Again, the governor's office, and this is out of House 1, had that number in. Will it hold? I'm sure hoping so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Many years ago, we used to get transportation aid, and they eliminated it. But I am shocked to see your contract transportation flat.
Yep, there is no increase.
You have a contract that calls for it to be flat?
Yes,
How many years is your contract?
we have one more, and then we'll put it out to bid again.
What was it? How many years?
3 years.
That's all you're allowed.
We do not,
So they didn't build in an increase year over year?
absolutely not.
Interesting.
Not if they wanted the contract.
Oh, well.
So our LPN program, again, you'll see the program itself, $57,349. Our anticipated tuitions of $860,250 leaves you a net $2,901. Our combined net transportation and LPN, $108,985. Transportation aid was supposed to be funded at 100%. It has never been there, never gotten there. We get close, but not quite. Our capital, again, as you're looking at this capital, realize that this is shared by 5 towns. The capital, we increased slightly this year from $130,000 to $150,000. And the stabilization fund went from $175,000 to $180,000. You'll recall back that that was part of our window project, and we continued it on, put it into our roof stabilization, which is the money that we are now putting against to hire the OPM and do the design services as we move into feasibility, so there's no cost back to the towns. Our total capital, $330,000. I say this each year because I just feel it needs to be said. Every good presentation has a pie chart, and we would be remiss not to have one. You'll see that 61% of every dollar that comes into Upper Cape Tech goes strictly direct into instruction. As you turn the page, those are your preliminary assessments. And again, as we discussed earlier about foundation, the remainder of the net foundation budget, that amount here is the amount that Upper Cape Tech is over foundation. And you can see Wareham's percentage of that. That times, as you look to the right, and I put it in red, the remainder of the net with no LPNs, that figure is what I use as the percent to multiply by the bottom number, the $494,631, to come up with the $144,784 over foundation.
Do that one again.
Yep. So, because LPNs are included into the foundation number and in your base, I don't want them included anything beyond foundation. And we've done that in the past, but I wanted it to be clear and transparent for towns. So that percentage over here, which is, in this case, the number of students, so 260 minus 3, so it's 257 of the total, gives you a percentage, which is that number on the right. That number, the 0.29271071 times $494,631 gives you the percent remainder of the net foundation of $144,784.
Got it. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Capital is actually determined differently. It's about the total enrollment within the town. So you'll see 1,705 students here. That's how you'll get the percentage of multiplying by 330 for Wareham's percentage of the capital. Questions on that?
So, again, the public does not have this in front of them.
Sure.
So the student breakdown as of when you made this.
Yep.
Bourne is 218, Falmouth 209, Marion 38, Sandwich 167, and Wareham 260.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And your senior class that you will be graduating this June?
200
I
and
think you told me that.
what's that?
232.
232, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. I think you
Joe's
told
right.
me that, but I,
Yep.
yeah.
One last question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's out of place, though. We know we have an issue with 25 students that basically are Wareham students that were built to Bourne. I know that's pending.
Would you, no, it's not pending. It's actually been decided, and this reflects all of those numbers, which is why I couldn't be here a week
I
ago.
know, that's why.
Yeah.
So the numbers you show now include some
Those
of
are
those students?
accurate numbers taken right from there. The question arose because it came about from one of our colleagues, I won't say who, but one of our colleagues in one of the towns. That had a question about the 02532. It's unique. Wareham and Bourne share a zip code.
Buzzards Bay.
Correct. When you have students who are school choicing from one town to another, especially when they school choice K through 8, and now they come to the vocational school, in all appearance, the only way I would ever know, because I don't know school choice kids at all. I receive no reports. We never share that. Matt and I don't talk about who's school choice, who's charter. I don't have any of that information. What we do get is a folder that says this student was here at this particular school. So when you look at it and it says Buzzards Bay and it says 02532 and everything is coming from the Bourne Middle School and elementary school, common sense tells you that they're coming from Bourne, not necessarily true. And that's how this all started. In
But
the
they come with
future,
but they come with a town code.
they do in SACID, but not with them on this. So in their folder, they don't have a town code. In
Wow.
That is correct. In SACID, as you go in into your Sims
I
data,
understand.
I know you do, it'll say Buzzards Bay. You have to click in what that is, what that town code is. Is it Wareham, is it Bourne? For the future, Upper Cape Tech's application now has 5 towns to choose from. You can't choose Buzzards Bay. You can choose Bourne, Wareham, Falmouth, Marion, Sandwich. That's it.
Thank you.
In addition to that, if you're a school choice student, you're going to check that box. Well, we hope you're going to check that box. If you're a charter school student, we would hope you would check that box. In addition to that, the town administrator and I will be sending all 5 of my town administrators a full listing of the addresses for all of my students, incoming through 12, every year in September. And they can validate them to say, yes, these are all Wareham addresses. These are all Bourne addresses, so that this issue never happens again, because truly only the assessor's office can do that. If I go online, I cannot see if it's a trailer park, if it's a new condo project, if it's a new home that's just been built, but the assessor's office has that information.
Yeah, and it bypasses the problem of someone not at UCT,
Right.
literally attaching the wrong town code to a student.
That's correct. And that happened here as well.
I suspect it did.
It did. Which is why you don't see 29 changes. You see what you see.
Got it.
I can sympathize with that issue. I was with the RMV, and we had to do something like that, upgrading about 10 years ago.
Brandon, did you have any questions for the
No, I don't. Everything is outstanding as far as the information.
Jerry?
Thank you.
No questions. Alan?
One quick question.
Sure.
I know you put the solar panels over the parking lot.
Yes.
Your car shows that.
Yeah.
Which works out great. You have I believe, a wind turbine 1. Are you going to expand that or tear that one down?
So we had a wind turbine. That's long since gone.
That's gone now?
It only worked when we plugged it in.
That's
So
nice.
it really it was early technology. It came from overseas and it was wonderful. It was a great learning lesson. Yes, it's no longer there.
Okay.
I will share with you that the percentage in return, solar far exceeds wind in a huge way. So, anything else I can do, I'm happy to help.
I know.
Any questions? Yeah. You have any further
Oh,
questions?
yes.
I kind of thought that.
Sorry, I'm trying to ask questions that the select board members might ask, because I've
certainly.
told you that we will be watching this film and not having you come before us.
Okay.
So,
It's nothing against your
no.
No.
Well, no, if you wanna come, that's fine.
No offense, no offense.
Actually, it would be great because your presentations are so informative. So, generally speaking, educationally wise, is the need for vocational schools growing or shrinking? and has been over the past whatever, pick a, 5-year time frame or something, pick a time frame.
It has continued to increase, to grow. A select person in Bourne actually says that, made mention to the fact that we were seeing a renaissance in attendance and interest in vocational education. I'm gonna share that. I think you're seeing that the cost of post-secondary education is becoming exorbitant and individuals can't see the light at the end of the tunnel for what they're looking to do. They see this as an option, a viable option to live here, have a home, make a living, being able to move forward and expand on where they really want to go and what they might want to do. Actually, the student was from, I want to say it was from Wareham, an automotive student, and I've told the story many times, but he currently works for Halliburton. The young man excelled at Upper Cape, went to Tech, top student in the diesel field. It's a 10-month program. Kind of wondering if that's maybe going to be my second career to go that route, go there, because his salary is probably more than both the principal and myself currently.
Tech's a good place.
He is outstanding in doing what he's doing. He's traveling around the world. He sent me a picture, said, check my box of one of the things on my bucket list, and it's him riding a camel. He was in Saudi Arabia. So it's not for everyone, but the opportunities are there, and if you want to avail yourself to them, you can do that and do anything you want to do.
Have there been any consolidations of voc tech schools in the past 20 years? Or have any of them gone out of business? Okay. Have there been new ones in that time frame?
Not regional voc schools. There are 27 regional vocational schools across the Commonwealth. They've only expanded. The superintendent from McCann Tech actually reached out to me to use our plans for a grant and to move forward to start an HVAC shop. So if you were to go out to North Adams, you'll see the exact same buildings you see at Upper Cape Tech. Kind of proud of that.
Roger, are any of those VOTECs specialized?
Some have very specialized programming within them. Assabet Valley, for instance, has a robotics piece, manufacturing that they're doing. North Essex Aggie has some very interesting programming that they're moving into and doing. They're all unique in each their own way. Old Colony, Diamond, Bristol Plymouth, which is a brand new school. You can see that from the highway as you drive by. Very interesting programming that's happening. I'm partial to Upper Cape Tech and what we do at our school that makes us really unique in doing what we're doing,
So I'm gonna share a story about two young men whose parents live in Wareham. They live in Wareham. One of them went through the high school and then went to college. The second one went to your school. The older child went into something and ended up with $90,000 worth of debt on his college. His brother graduated and was making $95,000, the same. So this speaks to the value of a vocational technical high school.
Agreed.
Thank you.
I would agree.
Make one quick comment. The world has changed quite a bit. If you go to Europe, say Germany in particular, they have technical schools that are equivalent to a college because of the skills required. I believe the technical schools that we have here are going to branch even to more things because everything is based on not just pushing a button anymore. You have to be able to fix, repair. And with AI coming down, whether you like it or not, it's changing the whole world.
Well, it's changing so much, but the vocational trades, it's not ever going to train them.
It's not going to replace them, but it's going to change how they get educated. I think.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
We just purchased a laser welder for our auto collision shop. It has the ability to actually remove rust from metal without changing or having any effect on the integrity of the metal itself.
You have any 3D printers?
We do.
I'll come visit you.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows, if you have a part, say an automobile is obsolete, can't get it, an antique,
Mhm.
have a 3D printer, you can make one.
Yeah, we have an engineering shop that actually has all of that along with a Bridgeport and a few other tools I'm sure you would be very impressed to see the students use.
Are you done, Judy?
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
So we could spend the rest of the evening on, well,
Yeah.
talking about Judy's last comment, so I'm not going to, okay? Not that it isn't pertinent, but there's a balance, okay? But my overwhelming reaction to this is, first, the comment I already made, a growing business, if you will, versus a shrinking business. And having been in business, I know all about that problem. But the second problem I have, and this does not in any way, shape, or form reflect on you or the value of what you do for our children. And that is that you take a very reasonable budget, ask 5 towns to approve it, and it's really hard to pick out something that's, quote, unreasonable. And so therefore, because we know the value of what you do for our children, we feel compelled to say, salute it, it's all good. And yet, when a school district, Wareham is just one example, but I know there are many school districts around, the regular school districts around the state who are facing this, when we do create a reasonable budget, okay, it ends up being too much. And I say too much because it's too much when you combine the towns, which, and you pointed out, generous support, and the state's not as generous support. So we are left with, what do we cut, okay? So if we said, if the 5 towns all got together, and I'm not suggesting we will, if we all got together and said, this is very reasonable, but we have to cut. We're asking you to cut. Where would you cut? Because we're going to be cutting
So
significantly.
you couldn't cut a whole lot because you're only $446,000 over foundation, so you're not able to cut a whole lot above where you are.
Actually, you could cut below foundation. I know that from my expertise as a result of being around for 20 years. I'm not saying it's advisable.
No.
I'm not saying the state wouldn't slap you on the wrist gently, but they actually wouldn't assess you as a result of being below foundation.
But they would certainly be a reflection on both the district and the financial
I'm in.
management of what it is, so.
Yes, I got it.
You know, I mean, when you're really looking at, let me go to the back, see the exact amount was, you're less than $500,000 that you're looking to, and that is cutting it from 5 towns, and it's not equally, like you're just cutting $100,000
I understand.
or something.
I understand.
So, I don't know where I would have to cut. I think I keep it pretty tight to the cuff the way it is, so that I'm not above and beyond. I
Jody,
think if you look at the
I'll scan
required
that
net
in
school
and send it to
spending,
you.
exactly how much higher you are over foundation, that's a key piece into where is there excess? Where is there a piece that you really can look at and start to draw down from in what's being done?
But just one example, our instructional
I can't hear you.
increase,
Yeah.
percentage increase, is substantially less
Okay.
than yours, and we can't afford it.
Are they new teachers or are they
As you know,
veterans?
it's a
Because-
mixture.
Well, as I said early on,
You have a contract, I get it. This is
Yeah,
not
wait.
designed to have
yeah.
an argument,
No,
okay?
no.
I'm just saying
It's all
that
subject.
there's a fundamental difference between a voc tech budget process
Oh, for sure.
and a regular school district budget process.
Well, even to the point of snow removal. So how can, and you'll notice the line item in here was not increased, but after this year, because we act as a municipality.
You can deficit spend.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, you can.
And so in doing so, then it goes back onto the towns, and we're extremely cognizant, I am, as I sit here and build a budget, that I'm not looking to put that on the towns. And I live here, well, I don't live in Wareham, our son lives here in Wareham, so I'm cognizant of that.
It's all good, Roger. Yeah,
I
it's all
know,
good.
So I just want to point out one thing. You operate as a municipality.
we do,
The Wareham School Department is a department of a municipality.
correct. It's
I
apples
just
and
want,
oranges.
I just want that out there. It is apples and oranges. Thank you.
Correct.
Brianna, do you have any questions? Brianna?
Question.
Hello, Brianna?
No. Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Any questions?
No, just want to piggyback that as a 2011 graduate with children in the elementary school, my generation, the vocational is just going to continue to increase. It's love Upper Cape, thankful for what you do, and that's really it.
And we appreciate you, thank you.
All right, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, when we can schedule it, love to have you out and give you a tour, select board as well.
And lunch.
And lunch, and
Don't
lunch.
forget lunch.
Great
Oh, yeah.
desserts.
Great lunch
Again,
period.
thank you all so
Thank you.
much. Have a
Thank you very much, Roger.
As always. Thank you so much.
So have one
You're
more
very
separate
fortunate with your
update
town
besides-
administrator.
Well, we know that.
A plug.
I guess the $50 is on the way.
We-
Say that, Roger.
It's $49.
49.
Yeah, 49.
Can't be 50, it's 49.
All right, Stoughton Public Schools,
Wareham.
Wareham. All right, sorry.
It's hell to get old, isn't it, Jody?
I don't know, I listen to that all day from my wife.
It's a Freudian slip, don't worry about it.
She doesn't give me a rest about it.
No, she never will either.
Shall I invite the rest of my crew up? Are we next?
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see, yeah.
And I will.
And our director of instructional services is with us tonight. If you have no objection, I'd be happy to have you, or join us. Sure.
we're organizing seats here a little bit.
There's two more over there.
Did you guys get a copy of the
Oh, Derek's sitting
presentation?
there.
I can roll a chair down.
You have a copy?
Here, take this.
I'll roll a chair. There's a chair here.
Are you sure?
It's just moving.
Comfy one.
Could you introduce yourself,
Sure.
please, and
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matt DeAndrea, I'm Superintendent of Schools. This is Kristen Flynn, she's Director of Finance. Melissa Fay, Director of Special Education. You know this guy, Kevin Bajoli, School Committee member.
we definitely know the next guy.
Be that as it may.
So you have a copy of our presentation. I'll
Yeah.
take you through it. So the numbers on this in the presentation include all the contractual obligations. We do have one.
Excuse me, Matt. Do we have one?
I think he's making them.
Oh, we should have enough.
Oh, I got some right here.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Well,
Anybody behind you want them? Joyce is back there.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll take one for our incoming superintendent.
I
Are
got
you-
one, she has one. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
The incoming, because a lot of people don't know her yet.
Oh, Amy Hartley Madison,
Hi,
Right there.
everybody.
starting July 1. We're pleased to have her here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
And this presentation, as we go through it, reflects the current staffing that we have in the schools. The second slide is our cost centers, and this is just basically how we break our budget down into these cost centers. And I'm gonna walk you through each one of these. The first one is the district-wide, and this is the organizational chart for the district. Superintendent of schools leads the district. We have 4 directors, Director of Finance, which is Kristen Flint to my left. She oversees obviously the budgets and grants, but also transportation, facilities, and food service. We have a Director of Teaching, Learning, and Technology. That's Tracy Cote. She's in charge of all professional development, curriculum, instruction, and she also handles all the technology in the district. And then the Director of Student Services is Melissa Fay, oversees special education and ELL, which is English language learners. We also have a Director of Beyond School Time, Bethany Chandler. She's also the PASS program, or the night school program principal, and she also oversees all the after-school programs and summer school programs. And then you can see the support staff that each group has. We have the 3 principals included in there, and I'll go through each of the school buildings and the staffing in their buildings. The next slide is the district budget. The salaries, $1,920,000. That's for the superintendent, finance director. That includes the nurses in the district and also the administrative assistants at central office. The expenses there, $5,631,520. That is mostly out of district tuitions, which we'll talk a little bit later in the presentation. But those tuitions sit in the district part of the budget. So the total budget for the district is $7.5 million. Going to the high school, this is the org chart for the high school. There are 70 teachers roughly and related services providers. There's 22 paraprofessionals, and then a number of other support staff, 5 custodians. We have 3 deans, 2 assistant principals, and of course the principal. There's 550 students at the high school currently, roughly, and that's grades 8 through 12. The next slide is just a breakdown of the current enrollment, 543, and we anticipate a slight increase to 567 students for next school year. Wareham High School has 182 students that are special education. It's about 34%, and they have 5 English language learners. So the summary for the high school is a $10,830,000 budget. You can see that the majority, $9.8 million, is salaries. So mostly people are the expense in the district and certainly at the high school.
Matt, can I ask one question? I'm sorry, I should have got before. I'm looking at the special education at 34% for the high school. What is the actual norm for the state for special ed?
I think it's 21%.
That's 21% for the entire district is the norm. For the average district, it's not for a high school. I don't know what the average is for a high school.
I just think that unfortunately, the municipalities are being drastically penalized on special education because the costs are really not controllable by any of us. And I was looking at a page in the beginning, you have 40% of your budget for special ed. In my opinion, which doesn't matter anymore, I'm too old. I believe the state of Massachusetts should be paying for all of it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the middle school. The org chart for the middle school, you can see there's 42 teachers and related services providers. There's 2 assistant principals, 13 paraprofessionals, 5 custodians. The cafeteria, does not come out of the LEA. That is reimbursed through the state, so that's completely funded through the state. There's currently 415 students at the middle school, and it's grades 5 through 7. And you can see that breaks down by grade on the next slide. And we anticipate a slight increase at the middle school to 443 students. We have a pretty big fourth grade moving into fifth grade.
Matt, I'm sorry, you said the total number of employees in the middle school is how many?
Total number is 40,
And then I don't think you told us the high school, but I'd like the same number for that, please.
yeah, I gotta do some quick math here, Judy, so just 47. 68, 74. 74, that includes
Which you're in middle.
the middle.
Yep.
That includes the 6 cafeteria workers that are not in the LEA.
Okay, and then for the high school, the number would be what, please?
About 116.
116?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that include the cafeteria?
Yes, it does. There are 5 cafeteria at the
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
What was that number you just?
116.
116.
116, okay.
Okay, then looking at the middle school special education, we have 114 special ed students at the middle school. It's about 25.7%, and 3 English language learners. So overall, it's a $6.7 million budget at the middle school. 6.1 million is salaries, and 589,000 are expenses. Then to the elementary school, you can see the org chart there. 82 teachers and support personnel, 2 nurses, 33 paraprofessionals. So let me see, Judy, I'm doing some quick math here. About 132 staff members total. That includes cafeteria. It's 945 students, and it's pre-K through 4. And in the next slide, you can see a breakdown of the grades and the total numbers. We're anticipating pretty much the same numbers last year. The school opened in 2022 with 921 students. So it's a slight trending upwards at the elementary school. And then you can see elementary school, 236 students in special education, that's 25%. And 30 ELL students. We have 38 ELL students, and you can see that 30 of them are in the lower grades.
Question for you, Matt. With those percentages, the way they go, use a bad word, assume that by the time they get to high school, between school choice, et cetera, we end up with a larger percentage of people that are special ed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the summary for the Wareham Elementary School, total is almost $12 million, 11.2 million for salaries and 672,000 for expenses. A further breakdown of the ELL students on this slide. It does say there's 37. It's actually 38. That number should be 38. 24 of those students are considered level 1 or 2. Level 1 is where they have very little or no English, and level 2 is a step above that. So these are students that need a significant amount of work on their English skills. FEL are former English language learners. There's 19 of those. We have one ELL teacher, that's his salary. Expenses, $4,000, that's the total ELL budget, $111,000. Our transportation department, we have one coordinator and 1.5 administrative assistants for $188,000, 32 drivers, 11 monitors, about 1.4 million. Contracted services for special ed, most of those are for our students who go to out-of-district placements. It's a little over $1 million. We also have expense for foster and homeless, $120,000. And then $323,000 for parts and fuel and supplies and things of that nature. So it's about a $3 million, a little bit over $3 million to run our transportation department. As always, the town has been super supportive on replacing buses on a regular basis, and that has been tremendously helpful. This slide, the total level service before offset, this takes the FY26, the current budget that we're in, and the proposed budget, and shows you by cost center how much it increased in each of the cost centers. A little bit later, it kind of breaks it down as budget drivers, but the majority of these increases really are contractual obligations and out-of-district tuitions. For our students and the contractual obligations for our staff. We do have a number of revenue sources in which we offset the budget, and that's outlined on this slide. The proposed FY27 budget is $41.8 million. We received circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is our reimbursement for special education costs. Special education costs have become so challenging for districts that the state some time ago came up with what they call circuit breaker as a way to provide some relief to districts to help offset some of the special education costs. And we'll use 2.1 million of it to offset next year's budget. We also received Title I. We'll use that, 543,000 towards the budget. IDEA is a federal grant for special education. We receive a school nutrition grant. Our preschool revolving is the tuition that we pay that students who attend preschool that are not required to attend preschool, but attend by tuition, we receive we will offset 107,000. We have a transportation revolving account. That's where the money from the McKinney-Vento goes when we vote at town meeting for the money to be transferred over to the school district. That goes into our transportation revolving account. And then the town and the school district share the plumber, so it's $40,000 that we receive from the town. So our total offsets are $3.5 million. And so we're looking at an FY27 budget proposal of $38.2 million. So just comparing FY27, $38.2 million with the current FY26 budget, $36 million, it would be a $2,155,195 increase. That was that includes, if you remember back to the budget hearing back in December, I called it the Level Service Plus, which had an additional 4.5 positions in it with the assistant principal of 3 paraprofessionals and increasing the athletic director to full-time. The next slide breaks down the increases by showing it by budget drivers. You can see that the majority of the increase, 1.6 million, is salaries. We have 6 bargaining units that are in our LEA. We have 7 bargaining units, but one of them is the cafeteria workers, which is not in the LEA. We were looking to replace some aging staff technology for $260,000, which we have taken some of that out, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Out-of-district tuition increases, we've had significant increases since then, and I'll talk a little bit about later. That's been a super challenge for us. And also the transportation costs. Increase in curriculum supplies, and this is a combination of an increase in the cost, but also the grants either decreasing or remaining the same, so the district having to pick up the increase completely. And then you can see some additional increases and decreases. That gets us to a 2.3 increase before offsets.
I have a question
Yes.
here. The facilities and operations, why did it go down?
It's
per
primar-
feet?
it's primarily due to the fact that we've completed replacing all of the lights at the Wareham Middle School. So we had funds for several years to replace lights section by section. And also it's that and looking at the actual costs that we've had for expenditures over the years and just lowering it to be more what was closer to actual.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Looking at tuitions to other schools. This is the slide that I presented to you at the budget hearing. You can see that we have 2 students that go to Bristol County Agricultural High School that we pay a tuition. Then we have special ed collaboratives, we have 14 students, 1.3 million, and then private 19 students, 2.8 million for $4.2 million in tuition. And you can see on the next slide, I want to talk a little bit more about this, but I just do want to show you how this is what's been really challenging for us. So we have students that come to us with significant needs, and we do everything we can to meet the needs of these students. Educationally, keeping them safe, and oftentimes, unfortunately, or sometimes unfortunately, their needs become so great we cannot meet them within the district. And we have to look for a placement outside the district. And this is when these tuition costs come into effect. We have, you can see on this slide, over since 2020, it's been pretty consistent. Back in 2020, 45 students, 21, 38, and you can see right across, it goes up and down into 40s, down into the 30s. And we're at 38 now. And you can see the tuition, the increase in the tuitions over that time period. And we're at 4.9, we're almost at $5 million now in out-of-district tuition costs, with an additional $1 million in order to transport these students. So that's $6 million on a $38 million budget. It's very, very challenging for us, the way these tuitions are increasing.
It's important to understand that the tuition costs are dictated by the state. We cannot negotiate, we cannot decide where we want to go because they give us the best deal and the best quality or whatever. It is literally on an annual basis adjusted up, sometimes adjusted up a long way. I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, it went up about what, 14%? 14%. This year it was much more modest, but the bottom line is, it is what it is, and we simply have to pay it.
And even outside that, the schools can appeal to the state if they feel that they need to increase their tuition because they have additional costs. And oftentimes the state will allow them to increase it more than what the state allowed for.
During the year, so that would be after we've set the budget for what we knew the tuition to be, and that happened last year. I think at least 1 or 2 schools that they appealed to the Occupational Services Division for a rate increase, and we have to pay it.
And for the public's benefit, the first 50,000 approximately is fully our responsibility. Think of it as twice the cost of a regular student. And then they pay 75% if they appropriate enough money at the legislative level. Then they pay 75%, so we have an additional 25% on top of the 50,000. The only good news is transportation is now part of circuit breaker, but it's still a major expense.
The next slide is really just the bottom line. So we propose a 38,244,686 budget, which is $2.1 million increase, or 5.9%, 5.97, excuse me. Derek's been trying to inform me as we go along of how much the town is able to give us in the Upper Cape Tech situation. I know that made that challenging. So at the time that I was gonna make this presentation last week, we were at 400,000. We had conversations today, that number is gonna be 548,181. We also have the opportunity of some additional earmarked relief that both Derek and myself have reached out to the state to request that we will not know about until, is that September probably, Derek, at least?
So they close everything.
So right now, we're looking at between 548,000 and 800,000 that the town is gonna be able to assist us. We've made some adjustments. Unfortunately, there are adjustments up, and mostly it's because of students going out for out-of-district placements that have increased it. We took some of the items that I spoke about earlier, the replacement of staff technology. We cut that into thirds, and we'll do a third of it next year, and we'll do it over a 3-year period. There was something else that we took a couple of other things out of there. Oh, yes, we took it was the level service plus budget. We had the additional positions, we took those out. That was $250,000. So we've taken a number of steps to reduce, and we're continuing to look at opportunities. We have some grant opportunities that we're looking at. And we're looking at ways in which we can get the number down to decrease the number of staff that we will need to reduce in order to cover this deficit. But right now, we're probably looking at this time, I think I said at the school committee meeting the other night, between 35 and 40. That's probably come down a little bit based on conversations today to around 35. 35 staff that we would need to reduce, not specifically teachers, it would be staff overall across the district. But again, we are continuing to look at ways in which we can find revenue or find ways to manage the money in a way that we can protect positions.
So some of this grant money you mentioned though, you might not hear about them before town meeting. We have to go in with a balanced budget. So you have to come in with the worst case scenario. I hate to put it that way, but.
Right, unless it's confirmed, correct.
Yeah.
Right, if we don't have a definitive commitment that we're receiving the grant, then
We can't count it.
we
Yeah.
cannot count it, that's correct.
So I'm just thinking at the last minute, you could be right before town meeting per se, getting more positions.
Right, correct. We'll we try to be, look at the worst case scenario. I don't wanna say we plan for the worst, but you plan for the worst, expect the best, hope for the best, and, yeah.
By contract, we have to let staff know by May 15th.
Is that what the date was?
Yeah. So, you know, the town has been, you guys have been great too, in my tenure here. We got a brand new, and I say this all the time, but I do mean it. We got a brand new roof at the middle school, new fire alarm systems at the middle and high school, new boilers at the high school, and of course, that big, beautiful, brand new elementary school. I know you value education and I know you support the schools. And I know that this is a tough budget year for Wareham and for many districts.
Yeah, like I say, you just gotta watch the news with what's going on with all, a lot of the school districts. But,
Yeah, Jody, I come from Brookline, and Jody let me know that in Brookline, they're closing libraries in order to balance their budget, if you can believe that. That's a wealthy time.
and then 25, they're predicting 25 staff layoffs.
Yeah,
I mean,
on top of
in
that.
Marbleheads, you know, these are pretty well-to-do communities. I mean, I don't wanna, but yeah, it's an ongoing problem with everybody.
Eric, we don't have a final state
200
budget
over
either. do
3
we?
years,
No, we won't have.
200 staff.
That's another
Mhm.
problem.
Wellesley.
Wow.
There's somebody else in the same position too that's talking over 3 years,
Right.
those numbers.
State budget, we have Fox News here. I mean,
The Ways and Means was meeting today in Lawrence. It was interesting listening to the testimony while this was going on, having it in the background. So it's
That's right.
yeah, as far as it came, it was everyone from schools to towns, the MMA to libraries, all special interests coming before them and telling them all the woes. You know, it's real. So some of the Municipal Empowerment Act are items such as we're going to allow you to vote in extra taxes at the local level. It doesn't help a community like us.
It hurts the
You
community.
know, so we know that our residents, not that they don't
That's not
want to,
government.
it's that a lot of them can't. So we know that's a fake fix for us. It won't help.
You talk that, I'm gonna call it a minor fix, but they've taken a couple other minor revenues away. They wanna take away the parking tickets per se.
Yeah, if
The
they do.
marijuana money that, you know, we were getting,
Which isn't that much anymore.
which isn't a lot, but it's like they traded off one for another.
And then they also, with the iLottery coming down, all proceeds from that are going to childcare purposes. They are not going to the municipalities. Lottery's always been the municipal and how the unrestricted general government aid has been formed, but that is going away. Part of that when the iLottery comes, it will eat into it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
And they haven't even felt the Medicaid cuts yet.
Correct, and that
Yeah.
was trying to figure out a few of those, especially the reimbursements, so.
It's not a good time, folks. No, it's what we have.
Yeah.
I know I'm on a legislative committee for the MMA, and this is the first time ever that I felt that they were actually trying to help us.
That was put forward by one of the senators that they felt that the MMA does not push hard enough and that
That's
they
my
felt
exact feeling.
the towns don't as well. And I think the feeling was every time we go up, we tell you, you pat us on the head and move us on our way, so.
Just a quick story, Alan. When I used to be a select board member, I was on the Selectmen's Association before they changed the name. And I represented Plymouth County, Cape and the Islands. And we have a monthly meeting with the lieutenant governor at that time. And when I was there, I was allowed to speak on transportation reimbursement for roads and stuff. Alan made a suggestion. It was the last time Alan was ever allowed to speak again.
Yeah,
Do you have that rule, Jody?
Yes, he does.
Lots of things I can say about that. Unfortunately, I ran into him Saturday night. I said, God, I'm out to have fun.
Chili contest.
And who shows up, or who was there, Alan?
Could have been worse. Could have been Sandy too.
Yes. But I know at some point, if the answer is no, that's fine. You're gonna have to sit down and discuss how you're gonna go about all this. Would you be opposed to having a finance committee member there? It's not gonna be me and it's not gonna be Alan.
so to talk specifically, right. 'cause
To
no,
talk the budget.
To talk specifically how we're gonna make, where we're gonna cut, is that what you mean?
In-
more or less.
Yeah, I know, he does, you don't wanna get into staff and all that,
Mhm.
those things, but yeah, where you gonna make that, I mean, his recommendation would mean a lot to me personally, that's why it's not Ellen, but yeah, when you sit down and say, you know, we might have to cut here, cut here, cut here, cut here, not who the people are, I
Mhm.
don't care about that, but I just think having somebody there from the finance committee, and I was gonna volunteer Jerry to sitting down the end there, Jerry can, Jerry can read a spreadsheet better than I ever thought about reading one.
He owes me $10, so I'll wipe out the $10.
If it's no, that's, nobody's gonna take it personal, believe me.
Jody, I don't know when that's usually just, not even school committees involved
Okay.
in that.
I assumed
you know,
you'd have somebody
I
there.
I try to let school committee know, you know, how many positions, and eventually they do find out, eventually they do. But it's, as they mentioned, is that May 15th deadline, and I try to, because it's things change, like, you know, that, sometimes more money becomes available. Kristen here is masterful at being able to take grants and shift things around and make money last, making, you know, $1, $2. And so as we get closer to that May 15th cut date, things are constantly changing. So I don't say, well, we're cutting this position. I really can't know until we get close to that May 15th date. And then once all that is done and the individuals who are being let go know, then I let the school committee know.
See, I'm looking, it's going up to town meeting. What you do after town meeting would certainly be within your privy. I mean, I'm just looking going into town meeting.
Going
I
into
mean, we
town
have to go
meeting-
into town meeting with a balanced budget. How do we get there? We kinda gonna hear from, hopefully, Derek, how he's getting there and what you people have to do to get to that point, to go into town meeting and say, we have a balanced budget and this is what it is.
Let me speak to this, what you're asking a little bit. The budget subcommittee, which is Kevin and myself.
Yep.
We will also not get the details, but we can tell you that as of now, mostly at the elementary school and the middle school, we're talking about class sizes rising, okay? The high school is a much more complex entity, okay? We do not have the details as to what that comes down to. But if, and I'm not being facetious here, if you were to tell us that the only way that what we were going to, I say we, okay, plus my colleague in the back and the rest of the school committee, if our plan was something that you thought was unacceptable, okay? The only way we'd want to share those details with you is if you said to us, but if you've got a better plan that will add $500,000, we'll find the $500,000. But you don't have the $500,000, okay? So sharing the details might satisfy your curiosity, but the risk of those details getting out before May 15th is just too great. So absent more money, if we came up with a variety of different plans and you got to choose one that cost $500,000, then okay, maybe it's worth the risk. But we have to respect the people that are most impacted by these plans, which are the poor educators and other staff who might be laid off.
And I understand that totally.
Okay, so that's why, even at the full school committee level, the details are gonna be sparse until May 15th. It's just, there's no other choice, because that's the only way to treat a professional person who works in the school district at the moment.
Good point. You also have the union you have to deal with, and there's rules and regulations there.
Well, that's primarily the May 15th
I'm
situation.
just saying, but if it gets up before May 15th, then you might have.
Well, then you have human resources, labor
Right.
laws, all that kind of stuff.
So,
Yes,
I
so
understand.
it's, the bottom line is, it's not the risk, it's not worth the risk. But when I was on the finance committee, I understand your curiosity, okay? It's just not available, is the
nothing's on
bottom
our
line.
purview.
But I can tell you that the evolution of public education, and maybe Wareham is a particularly difficult example of this. We have lost 41% of our students in 20 years. 41%. And at the same time we have lost 41%, we have gone from 16%, which was the state average 20 years ago, special education, to the latest numbers on the DESE Wareham profile is 29%. So we've almost doubled the number of special education students. And on top of that, we used to get almost 50% of our budget paid for through Chapter 70. And it's now down to a little over 30. So it's a double whammy, if you want to choose a technical financial term. And there is no easy way to cope with that situation. And Wareham is not unique, but we're certainly a significant example of that problem.
You know, it's funny when you bring, I'm gonna bring up the elephant in the room for some people, the 41%. I'm not talking about happening this year, next year, maybe even 2 years, regionalizing schools. Has that thought entered anybody's?
Well, I'm only gonna speak for myself. I have not discussed this basically with anybody. The problem is the savings associated with regionalization, I don't believe are as great as you might think. Because the biggest, now I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but the biggest driver of the financial problem is the fact that educators have done a fabulous job of negotiating themselves so that they remain middle class, okay? And we literally can't afford educators the way we used to be able to afford them. The average teacher now, as Roger said, it varies tremendously from over a course of time because more seniority, less seniority, et cetera. Okay, but the average teacher in Wareham now makes about $90,000 a year. Literally, when we have Proposition 2.5 and Chapter 70 paying for almost only a little over 30%, a town can't afford that. And yet, that's the marketplace. They are getting what they have earned based on the profession they have chosen. So there is no enemy here. It's just the fact that the cost of education is too great for a municipality like Wareham. And it sounds like it's too great for other wealthy municipalities as well. So what the solution is, I can tell you though, in Wareham, we're literally going to cut for the foreseeable future. It's just, there's fundamentally no choice.
Judy, you have a question?
I have, there are questions that relate to what Jeff has just said, if that's okay. Okay.
You don't want to debate though.
No, it's not a debate. I'm gonna state some facts. When I taught at the high school, when I first went to teach in the high school, there were 4 grades and 1,250 students. Now you're telling me there are 6 grades and 543 students.
How'd you get
My-
6?
5.
Okay.
Okay, whatever it is. And I did the math of what your average teachers are and, blah, blah, blah. It seems to me, based on the numbers that you've given us here, which show that there are many more students in the elementary school. Certainly that stays the same in the 3 grades at middle school. But if you have 5 or 6 grades at the high school and you've lost from 1,250, and there was 250 kids graduating the first year I was there. What changes in the general structure of how you are delivering your product, which is education, did you make?
Was that a rhetorical question?
No, it's a question.
Okay, so it's a very legitimate question. There are all sorts of special elements to a high school education, starting with the fact that you've got AP programs, which inevitably, when you only have 400 or so 9 through 12 students, don't count the 8 because, and in fact, even 9 and 10 don't have AP classes, that if you want to have an AP program, you're going to end up with very small class sizes. Now, you could argue, and I could argue it, we can't afford it. But if you don't have those kind of programs, you're not competitive. And let's face it, we don't want to shrink any faster than we already are. So we're at the same time that it's too expensive, it's also too expensive not to have these small classes because that's what gives students an opportunity for an outstanding education.
May I?
But I'm not the educator,
Okay,
so
but there's some
jump in,
words,
Matt.
there's some words I think that I would like to hear from you, not today necessarily. Consolidate, reorganize, and strategize. I just cannot and will not support a budget because you are a department of the town that gets any more percentage than what Mr. Sullivan has been able to cut every other department in this town to. I cannot support continuing to be, you know, I'm not questioning how many teachers you have, how many janitors or whatever you have. I don't care how you do it. I want you to do it. Derek has been able to do it on every other department in this town. You are a department of the town. You have to play the same game. That's my comment. It's not a question.
We have cut every year for the last 2 years. To start with.
I think what
I
Judy's-
just-
Jeff,
Yeah.
If I may, so Judy, you asked about, you know, I don't know what's changed since the nineties, I guess. I would say student need. When I was here in the nineties, I taught at Minot. We had one sub-separate program for high need students. There were about 5 students in the program. It was for both the Deacon's school and the Minot school, and those students came to Minot. We have 8 at the elementary school right now. I don't know how many they had at the high school at the time, but there's 8 there now. There's 5 in the middle school. We have these 38 students that are out of district. We're in a different world than it was 20 years ago. Social media, mental illness, these kids come to us with significant issues that we never dealt with 20 years ago.
Matt, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that there are people in this town, that 30% of the people in this town are choosing between heating their house and eating. I know that for a fact. We cannot, in good conscience, even use the word override. It's absolutely unconscionable to even think that way. Every other department of the town, I mean, 30 years ago, there were 48 people in municipal maintenance. What are there now, 22? I don't want to get into specifics, but every other portion of the government of this town has skinnied down.
I don't think we're hearing a no from the school department on this.
Okay, I just want to make,
No, I get it.
yeah,
It's
the 2 million, whatever it is, and the 580.
That's our problem.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I
And I
wanted
think
to-
they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I am supporting that it's your problem.
We are acutely aware of it, but
Okay.
we used to have 240 teachers approximately. We have 175 now. As Kevin said, we have slimmed significantly, and we will slim some more. But to the notion that we should, and we've got an outgoing and an incoming superintendent here.
Mhm.
The notion that the school committee or even superintendents should readily reorganize the way we provide education, that's a dramatic concept, dramatic thing to contemplate. If our high school principal was here, for example, he would talk about the fact that a position I'm sure you're familiar with, that his 3 deans, which are somewhat part-time, are critical to the educational environment of that school. And he has fought to keep them for years, for probably the entire time you've been superintendent. I'm not gonna micromanage as principal and say, sorry, you can't have them, you're gonna have to do something else. And that would be the kind of reorganization you're talking about.
No, I disagree with you. I am saying that the school department as a whole needs to think about consolidation, reorganization strategy. I said not maybe today, in the future. Mr. Smith used the word regionalization. But it seems to me that I would like to hear the school say, gee, Derek has been wonderful to the school department, a department of the town.
We did say that.
Say it every day because there is not, no.
I'll call you tomorrow and I'll say that.
There is no department other than the school department that I can say is overstaffed. I'm not telling you how to run your business. That's your job. I'm telling you that the money has to work to do your job. That's all I'm saying.
There's one factor in here that we're not thinking about with the declining enrollment. It's something that since I've been here, we've cut off buildings. We're now set at a point where you can't cut down any more buildings. So that overhead, whether you've got 1 kid in there or 1,000's the same. So a declining enrollment hurts you because of we're not getting the revenues on there. So as the enrollment goes down, your cost for that building is going to stay the exact same basically, no matter how many kids you have in there. So that's one thing we can't offset.
But people are the most expensive thing that we have.
People
And you
are-
know that,
yeah.
and I know that, and
Yeah.
you know that.
But everything but a teacher. Everything but a teacher. And I'm sure there's some example, maybe, and this isn't even part of the LEA, I was thinking of a food service person, because I suppose you could reduce the number of food service people based on the number of people who use the cafeteria. But basically, every other staff member, with the exception of a teacher, is needed regardless of the number of people that are in the building. You can't cut custodians, for example.
I'm not saying that, Jeff. I'm saying, here's the dollars. Do what you have to do.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Good. That's all I want to say.
And by the way, and he doesn't need to hear this, but we're doing it in a very cooperative, collegial way with
I'm
the
aware
town
of that.
administrator.
I'm aware of that.
And we are different than a regular department because by law, a school committee exists. The maintenance department, they may wish they had one, doesn't have a maintenance committee, okay?
They
We
do
have
not
we
wish
have-
they have one.
we
I
have
assure you, they don't wish they had one.
We have an elected sewer commission, and we also have elected assessors, so you're a little bit oranges and apples.
Anyway,
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
you've been, by the way, Jody, you've been very kind, thank you.
Let's move on. So I think the point's made, you guys have to work on it. I saw you're gonna vote on the final budget. I watched the meeting last week, April,
Either April 2nd
16th,
or April 16th.
because we need to get that whole
Yes,
final into the
yes.
book. That has to be out, certain amount of time before town meeting, so.
Yeah, I know
Well,
you're-
only if you don't want it printed in the warrant.
So, and I think we'll be, most likely, once this is presented to the select board, that's going to be the initial budget that's going out to everybody, and it is later this year because of the complications and.
Oh, I get that.
So,
Bernie's sitting down there, he's doing the book for me. And he's not gonna do all the colored pages and stuff you don't like, so.
do I get to edit, Bernie?
Make a real quick
can talk.
comment. In Massachusetts, I've been fighting for years for what I call unfunded mandates. One of the biggest unfunded mandates we had is they decided that every child has to go through the systems, the regular schools, no matter what, without any concern of the costs. We turn around, we have stormwater drains that we have to do 25% every year. Nobody, it's out of hand. the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, unfortunately, is a one-party state, whether you like it or not. And they just are not, at this point in time, concerned about what things cost and how it works. And for Derek to be able to even have any close to a balanced budget, is amazing with all these unfunded mandates we're dealing with. And you're basically reaping the benefit, which is no benefit at all of that program. You're only, for me, I'm an accounting major. I deal in numbers forever. Your only place that you can do anything at all is increase your class size. I don't know how you're gonna,
Exactly.
I don't know how you're gonna decrease your costs any other way. Sorry.
And simplistically, here's another interesting statistic. We used to have 14 students for every teacher, according to the DESI website. We are down to 11. Now, that sounds like, wow, you've got teachers everywhere, right? But at the same time, our number of special education students is almost doubled. Okay. So it's, as our superintendent said, these are very difficult students in many cases to educate. And yet we owe it to them to do the best we possibly can.
You have no choice.
We have no choice.
Just one question. I hope you, and Jeff expressed this in a little bit earlier tonight, like when we heard the Upper Cape presentation. So they're asking for basically 7%. And it seems, just reading the vibe in the room, okay, you got our blessing. And I don't know that for a fact, but that's kind of the vibe that I perceive. If the town departments are so strapped, which I know we are, and that's why we're trying to work with the town as closely and fairly as we can and still be fair to our students, why does Upper Cape just get a free pass?
They don't get a
Will that get discussed too, like the percentage that we're gonna increase?
They don't get a free pass. I think really is, if you look at the cost per student that Upper Cape has versus the town, that's what colors the whole thing. So at the end of the day, the actual increase to the town is not very much money compared to the increase from our regular public schools. That's the
But
problem.
the figures that he gave,
I understand.
no, I'm just saying it's 26,000, the DESI per pupil expenditure for Upper Cape is what they spend. Wareham spends less than that.
He's all in.
What's that?
He's all in.
No, and I'm not denigrating Upper Cape at all. I just want you to know that. but-
The bottom line that we vote for you does not include any of your benefits or
Right,
obligation
right,
to
Right,
building
I get that.
debt or anything.
Upper Cape was,
But 7% is still
Upper
7%.
Cape was 16,000
16,000.
per student.
If you go to the DESI website, you look at it, the per pupil expenditure, it'll tell you it's 26,000. That wasn't, I noticed that, it stuck out to me right away. That's assessment, that's not per student. So it's not apples and,
That's the
Apples.
problem. It's apples, oranges, and grapefruits.
so if you look on the website, because we were looking it up earlier, it's more than we pay per student. And I know it's everything.
what would,
Yeah, because we pay about 65 million for everything, all in.
Yeah.
With you.
I get it. But with one town versus 5 towns paying
what I
for
would
that.
be very concerned about too is,
But
I mentioned at the beginning of this, that they are trying to basically have kids come there without having to take any technical classes at all. And they have capacity for at least 100 more kids.
Right, they're trying to expand their number of
And
students.
they could turn around tomorrow if they get the okay, and they could have another 100 kids from Wareham there.
I know it, I know.
That's frightening.
And it's a double-edged sword. Like, we're
I had
cutting
the
and
same
they're
reaction.
not.
I chose not to react.
I know you did, I saw it.
Good
No,
God, we're
so-
good.
We do understand what the situation is.
Brianna, you still there? She left?
No,
What are you looking at?
I just heard her say yes.
No, it was. My daughter said she left.
She's left. No, that's not good. Okay.
So you guys know what needs to be done. Good luck.
We should have a number for you before the town meeting warrant has to be printed. When is the going to print?
The warrant is already printed.
No, they're talking about the finance
Talking about
committee.
the
Finance committee report.
Can
Well,
be done.
We have to be
The
published 1
actual-
week before.
The actual numbers that the public gets to look at.
I really wanted to get this out sooner rather than later. When are you voting it, Jeff?
Well, we're gonna try and vote it on April 2nd. Is that too late?
It gives a short period of time. I just don't, if I put this out today, I could put like draft 1 or something, because there's 2 separate things. There's a finance committee report, we do wanna start getting these numbers out for the public, but we've done it up to about 2 weeks before town meeting. I catch a lot of hell for it, but
I think we're allowed to do that.
Last year I got yelled at leaving town meeting, the report wasn't out soon enough.
Yes.
so I can try and wait. I hate putting out wrong numbers, even though, you know what I mean? It's, that confuses the public more than anything, so I will wait until, you know, if we can get some sort of consensus, and I agree, it's a hell of a lot different than it was 13 years ago when I started. So, you know, and I appreciate everybody here working with us at the table, so, and it's not fun, 'cause
Yeah. I started on the finance committee in the year 2000. Thank you, gentlemen
Thank you.
and lady.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we pass it around? or-
please.
Okay.
So before I was coming with the thumb drive to take to put on the screen, I just realized it was gonna be a nightmare trying to do it, so I figured, went back and printed it out for you, so. Two documents you have, we'll go through it's actually a PowerPoint slide deck. We put 2 slides on each one, save a little bit of paper, still be legible. And then this is a little bit of the backup. It does not have the individual departmental budgets in there, but has the governmental bottom line. So in here as well, in this one, you'll see I've not updated last year's single family tax bill presentation. We will update that for the final, where it shows where we compare to the other communities. So we'll
I'm not sure why they don't pay more attention to that.
It is what it is, Bernie. So to echo Roger's sentiments, I started off with the pie chart for every presentation. We waited till the midpoint, figured get it out of here. So it goes through, shows you the levy limit, the 2.5 increase, estimated new growth, and so forth and so on, what makes it up. Levy limit used to be, we hover in between the 60 plus percent. Just so everybody knows, if you look, you'll take the 59% from the levy limit, add new growth, another 2.5% increase, and that brings you up to 62%. Our school aid is about 20%, and state aid for general government 4%. That's been up 25% or higher. What's offsetting it now is our use of local receipts. As you know, we're always very conservative on those. Some towns will do it in different ways, either through local receipts or through your actual levy base. We do it through local receipts. But when we go through it, it's going to be a little bit of a change from the norm, which means unless things change, it will not get better next year. So if we flip the page and go through, just so you see, I think this is helpful for some of the folks. Real estate taxes, that's your levy base. It does not matter how much your houses went up, if you could sell it today for 100,000 more than yesterday. Our levy base only goes up by 2.5%. It's not your individual taxes. So when you take, we did a comparable side by side FY26 with the cherry sheet updates and the FY27 proposed budget. But if you take the 27, you'll see what we're really doing is taking real estate taxes, 2.5%, and new growth. You don't take the debt exclusion, and that amount becomes your new base for the following year. So that new base is allowed to increase by 2.5%, and then you have your new growth. Our new growth is trending down, as you can see, from a high of FY24. Because again, it doesn't matter what homes are selling for, and I'll get into that later down below. So you can see with our taxes, our new growth and all, we are roughly increasing by about 1.867 million for taxes. Chapter 78, negligible at just under 170,000. Charter schools, about 62,000, which is, considering where you see the assessment at over $350,000 increase, that is a net loss. In fact, our aid is wiped out altogether. But unrestricted general government aid, an increase of 61,431. Veterans benefits, well, that went down substantially by no less. Part of that's a reimbursement, about 75%. And if we are not paying them out, and I know what we budgeted, but I think FY 25, if I remember, either we had some people move out of town that received the benefits, or we're trying to figure out why that went down significantly, but that's a reimbursement for a portion. And if you see the exemptions, veterans, blind, surviving spouses, and elderly, you'll see that went up. We voted in new exemptions last year, some of them were partially reimbursable. And then you get the state-owned land, which went up by $502, mighty generous. So all told, our new aid is offset in cherry sheets is increased by about 292,000. Any questions on that section? So if you go to new growth, you can see FY 23, 550,000, we went up to 890,000. Some of the big projects coming in, including some of the 40Bs, what we had building over at Bay Point, a couple others. If you look, now we've gone down in 2 successive years after the FY 24 high. And one of the things I hear from residents all the time is, I saw this building go up. You're getting tax money from that. I saw that building. Just so people understand, you need $11,682,243 in new construction value for every $100,000 in new revenue. So to hit $1 million, what do you have to do? 110 million plus. That is a big venture to get $110 million.
That's major for a little town like us.
So you're not seeing that. So, and right now, our growth is in residential. Residential, I'm gonna sound presidential here, but residential is a loser for a community like us. It is a loss. We need commercial. And we've seen what's happened in the past. In the past, the town has said no, which we're allowed to. The residents are allowed to talk about how they want to see the future of their community, although that's changing through coming up from the governor's office. But you had things like CMAS. CMAS in West Wareham would have been in West Wareham. It ironically still has a West Wareham address. CMAS, had it come into Wareham, would be worth $5 million annually to the community. That's what it's worth to Rochester right now. It's not just the value of their buildings, they also pay a certain amount of dollars per tonnage of trash they receive back to Rochester. That's what keeps Rochester afloat. One of the, and I get it, people didn't want that, people didn't want trash, it's okay. Asphalt plant wanted to come in the same area, moved into Rochester. The deal with them at the time was they were going to pave a mile a year on top of what they were paying in municipal in the town's roads. We had, not that long ago, Notice, which would have brought in several million to the community. Community overwhelmingly said no. But several $1 million would be helpful. We voted in a solar district, but there's several solar projects outside of that that are worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars if they go through. And they're not going through. There's pushback at board levels, and that's fine. But do you get the trend here? We need something to break on there, and it's not going to be. It's not because we're spending on tiddlywinks. We need new growth. We need other opportunities for this community, and it's not happening. And one of the things I understand we're worried about, especially over our aquifer, But Carver just installed a battery electric storage facility, $1.7 million a year, the value to them going up. Our new growth was based off of a lot of the solar coming in as well. So it's, I'm not advocating for it, it's, they're certainly allowed to. But I know people are talking about redevelopment. Redevelopment is expensive. That is not as you're redeveloping, and that's going to need town input and town funds to help redevelopment. Redevelopment usually happens with, the public monies go in first and then the private monies come.
Derek,
So-
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think it's really important that these two slides on page 2 get explained. I think they should be on the town website. I think you should sit down with the editor of Wareham Week and explain because a lot of people don't get it. And
They don't wanna get it. They don't wanna get it.
well, but if it's there,
Yeah, look, there's municipal is confusing whether you want to or not. So and I get it, and I have people tell me separately, even I could build that for half as much.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you can.
could, but we have to follow the laws, and the laws are against us on that.
They don't trust us also, unfortunately.
I don't know, I'm just saying.
That's the biggest problem.
I think statistically, 20%, only 20% of our tax base is commercial.
It's far less than
It's
that
much
because
less
it's-
than that.
Yeah, I thought it was 12 or 14%.
Yeah, and then
No.
really a small portion of that's the commercial industrial. And then even in that commercial, believe it or not, that's the cranberry bog sections on there, which are something little to no value. So when you see, like, when we supported the Marriott coming in, it was twofold. One, yes, we did a TIF in the beginning, right? That TIF is fully paid off now. So we're getting the full taxes on. Plus that started generating, I think it was almost $90,000 to $120,000 in hotel motel excise tax year one. I mean, it's really been a win. It's been good for the community. It's a short-term stay place too, where businesses will have their folks. And I could imagine us getting another one, especially with Eversource training and some of the other aspects here, So, but moving on to the next page, this is the killer, and I get, and what I was trying to get across, was everybody could always do better, right? But this isn't something that's is homemade, the issues, and something like you've said is going across all communities. So if you look at this slide, FY27 net state aid, and I'm sorry, I haven't updated that portion yet. It's actually negative $498,000. Almost negative $500,000 in new state aid. If state aid is about 24% of our revenues, what's that telling you?
You have the dollar amount that we got, schools and the town itself for, COVID, all those different programs? Because that kind of, everybody had a false sense of security. I know the schools had monies from COVID that they basically threw in there.
Yeah, we resolved that about 2 years ago in the budget. They made the cuts back then, so.
I just
Maybe
mentioned that
some
that
of
was
the
a
other
problem.
communities kept on going, that's been
I know you
resolved.
cut, but
No, I mean, even the school. we
they
brought
cut
up,
some, but
yeah,
they.
So, there wasn't any more money for them that they've been able to utilize in
I know,
26.
I just look at, unfortunately, that, it's a simple philosophy, never take money that's temporary and put into salaries.
So, but when you look at after a large increase in FY24, we've had 3 consecutive years of declines. FY27 net state aid is only $259,494 more than FY13. So that's a 2% increase over 14 years. Not 2% compounding every year, 2% overall. So, and I know people are listening to local receipts, what we're gonna get into. They're generated revenues other than real estate and personal property, such as motor vehicle, local meals, permit fees. and investment income. They're considered more unpredictable revenue. The Commonwealth Division of Local Services recommends that you never budget more than 90% of the prior fiscal year actual. So, FY '27 shouldn't budget more than FY '26, but Wareham's budget is set in the middle of the fiscal year, really towards the end, but so we're now we never do more than 90% of FY actual collections of the prior full fiscal year. There's gonna be some changes on that for this, and that's what I wanna go over. So, if local receipts come in higher, that generates free cash. Free cash is how we use our capital items. Years ago, we removed most capital out of the budget, outside of a few aspects, because it is easier to not fund capital than it is to cut personnel. If it's personnel, we can stop services to our residents. So, motor vehicle excise, this is going to be the major one, and this is where we're going out on a limb. So if you look at it, it's been going up for the last few years, FY '24 to FY '25. I took our commitments from FY '25, our first commitment, motor vehicle excise tax, took this February's first commitment for motor vehicle excise tax. That was 12% higher. This fiscal year's FY '26 is 12% higher than FY '25. So by utilizing this, we in the positive trend. But economic pressures can take that out real quick, which we've been experiencing for a while now, and I can't figure out how, unless it's new people moving into town or something like that, but what I've done is you'll see it's actually a little bit more than FY '25's. I took FY '25's, increased that by the 12%, so, and then I took 90% of that. So, that's where we stand. I know that FY '26's revenue will be 12% more than FY '25's. So that's right, and that is a major increase, as you can tell. That's the only reason we have any money to be able to give the schools right now. And I know I've gone to town meeting where a gentleman by the name of Neil Sullivan, no relation, wants to utilize all excise for municipal maintenance. That's just not feasible. We have a whole town, and that's, and I do consider the schools, as you said, a department of the town, and I do worry about them because I think education's a big part of a community. So I know it gets me in trouble.
Say, Derek, when a vehicle is repossessed, there's still excise tax paid on the vehicle. It's just that the owner of record now pays for it. If it's repossessed by a bank.
Yeah, if they repossessed it, they'd come in for an abatement. I'm assuming they're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
They'd come in for the abatement right away, and then it would be wherever they're located. So I don't know if it becomes, if it's like a SunTrust bank or something like that. So if it leaves our zip code and registration changes out of our zip code, we lose that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's done by the Commonwealth through the registry.
Yeah, 'cause I hear some of that's happening now.
Yeah, I mean,
all the junk loans,
Yeah, well, you look at it and there's two things. One, a car loan just on a new car can be what used to be your mortgage payment, right? You're talking $1,100 for some of these. It's nuts.
The price of the car is what you paid for a house.
Yeah. So, but the real trick, and Alan will back me up on this, so you see nowadays, is the negative equity roll-in to these new car loans, which is despicable. Yeah, and what we had before was, and I remember going in because we had a Chevy Tahoe at the time that I thought I was such a cool guy. We bought that. That's what when you were a nice king of the suburbs, you got yourself a Tahoe. Lifters went on it twice, everything. But so I ended up within 1 year selling it. I sold that for more than I bought it for, used. But we bought, not that I sound un-American here, a Toyota because I knew it would be bulletproof and I prefer not to have headaches. And we bought a little Highlander that was less money than what the Tahoe was. But it was the first time ever I paid full price for a vehicle. And it wasn't the extra add-on there either. So many people paid extra for vehicles. And now that they're available, that they depreciated so fast from that cost. And I remember the sales manager saying, I really feel badly for the people that are buying today that are paying extra and don't have anything to roll into it.
Yeah,
So-
they're upside down.
So that is some of the scary pressures on that. Local meals, this is we've seen a jump. I checked out this FY 26 actuals are trending higher than FY 25s. So I can see it's a quarterly disbursement. March's isn't out yet, so I used September's and December's to calculate and go through here. So going up 750, comfortable with it, but
I believe what I've seen for restaurants, even though most of them are now closed Monday and Tuesdays, is they're maxed out most of the rest of the week and they're doing, the ones I speak to, it's okay right now, even though the food costs and everything else are out of hand. And we have, I think, 2 or 3 new restaurants in town, maybe 2 more coming. So there should be an increase constantly on that.
yeah, so it will be interesting though. We're going to see again economic pressures. So it will be oil prices, shipping, which means more cost to the restaurant. But it's also more cost coming when you're buying your own groceries. We are now weekly $300 and we have to buy more at some point. It's
You need to lose weight.
yeah, I know. I can put down some food, but not that much, and that it almost feels like that's what you used to get for $100. You used to be able to fill up a cart. Local rooms has got me really puzzled, and it's 2 different ways. One, local rooms in the short term have separated, and it almost looks like a decline over the past few years. So I can't in good faith go beyond what we got in FY 25 of the 90% for both of them. And maybe the trend or just how they're segregating these, because we only get them paid together, then you have to go through and get them separated. So I'm a little shocked, but that also could mean that the Airbnb trend for Wareham might be switching off more to, people, retirees buying the home and not renting it out and keeping it.
A lot of them making year-round homes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing now. Also seeing there's no tax if it's not a short-term rental, so people are doing the winter rentals and stuff. Because I don't know, if you go down Swift, which used to be a ghost town, there's cars all over the place.
No.
So
I think Jackie, when she was in for the assessor's budget, she made that comment.
Yeah.
There's changing now. She has less in the rental than she had before. They're now all year round.
yeah, which will be a slight reduction then in our there's personal property tax as well. But boat excise, it's just an ebb and a flow. So.
There's no pun
I use-
intended there.
Yeah, I use crest and trough in the description here, so.
I saw that.
Cannabis market became saturated after the initial boom period, it's what we said. When we had the 4th one open in the Commonwealth, should have been the 3rd, but they upset the Cannabis Control Commission, so they were penalized. We actually knew those were going to be our highest years ever, and everybody wanted to tack everything onto that, and that was going to be the great green solution. And as Jody rightfully pointed out, not only did the excise revenue go down, but the Cannabis Control Commission took away our impact fees on the others, which are what was sold to the communities to vote it in. So, to be honest, I mean, you see the puffs of smoke coming out of cars, so I can't tell if that's vapes or this or what, but I mean, maybe I don't think this has led to the great societal decline, but you know. Fees, examples of fees, trailer coach, that's the trailer coach fees are the mobile home, so they don't pay they don't pay um taxes, they pay a motor coach fee, a maximum of $12 a month, so it's $144 a year for motor coach. District assessments, we do the tax bills for the two districts and we assess them for that cost, municipal lien certificates, town clerk planning. This can be volatile, canvas host fees, they're gone, so, you know, we're still looking at about 820,000. Rentals are pretty stagnant, that's the old town hall, Memorial Town Hall, anything from here in Oak Grove School, so it's a predictable income.
I thought Oak Grove went out.
They pay us $1,000 a month.
They still do. Thank you.
Licenses and permits. Licenses and permits are going down. So we got some liquor licenses, building permits, health permits. They're impacted by some of the large projects. So look, with the new growth trend against this, it tells you exactly what's happening. So we're gonna see a reduction and unless a couple big projects come through or what have you. Fines and forfeits, assessors fines, parking fines, etc. And we're just doing a 90% of FY25. And no real stability in that one, so kind of jumps over, but I mean the delta on it's 20-30 grand, so it's not anything to really worry about as much. Investment income, this is our I'm going to hold it flat. So it's obviously dependent on interest rates. December 2025, Fed cut the rates 0.25% or 220 bips to 3.5%. They anticipated December of 2026 an additional cut. The pressures today, we know the president will push for Fed rate cuts. They're staying pretty strong, so you know, but so I'm taking 75% of FY25 actuals based on the projected potential rate cuts and what we've experienced already. Medicaid, you know, this is going up, down. It almost seems when you look at it, it's almost like a fifth quarter of the reimbursement that you get. You get every other year on it as sort of a true up, so I've just been going through it, so we're gonna keep it at the 190,000, not lower it any more than that. Miscellaneous recurring, so it's trending lower, made up of multiple smaller subcategories. So all told, it's about a $985,000 increase. So we're looking at almost at over 10% for local receipts. This is your one-time adjustment. This is, we've held tight. This is again the one-time adjustment. Usually once the things are going, we're either getting a little bit more in state aid, we've been able to offset some other expenses, you know, but this is the one time where we've had to make this play, and I'm telling you, it is a one-time only. So next year, we will not have this sort of jump available.
Hide it.
Available funds, they sort of are what they are. The harbor service permits and the community preservation are the offsets of the debt that we see down below. So that's an in and out. Wetlands protection, we always take 25,000 out to make sure that we have a full-time conservation agent. Enterprise fund increased to 997,500 with the benefits increase and some of the others. That's right in line. Yeah, so then the fiscal year, this is the FY26, so again, we're now going into some sections that we haven't been able to get to, so just ignore that one. I'll give you an updated one when it's all trued up for it. Where does your dollars go? This probably will change as well slightly from the what we're gonna see. And then obviously the cost drivers by function, that's gonna be finalized. That's why I wiped it out, just so it wouldn't be anything. So I wanted to get through some of the fixed costs here. Mayflower Municipal Health Group, 6.75% last year, 10% increase this year, which yeah, based on astounding is not bad. And we were able to do that, the vice chair of the Mayflower Municipal Health Group Steering Committee, we were able to do that because we had built up in the fund there, an extra balance. So we were putting approximately, I think, $5 to $6 million at risk. It's about approximately $120 million annual budget for them. So this could have been much worse. In fact, with no subsidy and keeping GLP-1s and things like that, we were at a 24% increase in the beginning. So what is, we're looking at roughly 750,000. Note, that was closer to 9.9. We keep a reserve of 200,000 every year. We have reduced that reserve to 100,000 on our end. So it's with what's paid off from the meals through the school now paying for their budget, I've offset the 100,000 that way. But again, if you have a surplus, that's what goes to free cash, which is how we pay for our capital, which every department, inclusive of the school, has benefited from. Pension retirement contribution, expect 8% annual increases until fully funded. I believe should be through fiscal 2030, which would mean June 2031, or I'm going through there for the whole amount. That's why I just wanted to double check. But this one is going to croak us. It's going to go 8%, so think about that compounding for the next 4 years essentially. And I will tell you what, you can't push it out, because once we fully fund it, we will go down from 7 million, 8, 9 to approximately 2.7 to $3 million annual assessment. That is the goal. And I know, Judy, the override word is a 4-letter extremely word. This is one of the few times what we actually should do, and I put it out there formulaically, is vote for, it's almost like a debt exclusion, but approximately a 4-year override to pay the difference on this each and every year, because it makes no sense to suffer these impacts compounding, cut staff, only to go after that 4th year than have it and start bringing it up. It's almost more costly to go in that manner, to reduce services, reduce everything, try and build it back up thereafter.
So, I'm sorry, so you're suggesting, you're not really suggesting that it would never fly?
I'm suggesting something that doesn't exist,
Right,
but I
okay.
would tell you.
Yeah.
So just to give more, and I can run the numbers there again, is essentially doing a short-term override, which would be like a debt exclusion. You would go, you'd vote and say that it will be a period from, FY 27 through FY 31. You would vote more money than you needed, right? So 1.5 million, let's say, is what the number it is. And if you actually only needed 500,000 or 600,000, and I'll explain why. All right. So that first year compounding at the 8%, $500,000 cost, you have 1 million. You keep that, you put that aside, you keep it in free cash or what have you. Year 2, it's not just 500,000, it's technically 7.5 million times 8%, that's your increase, so that's compounding. Year 2, you need about 1.1, 1.2 million. All right, so the money starts going back to free cash, keeping that. Year 3, you know, with the compounding nature, you're going to eat up a little bit of that money. Year 4, you're going to need to almost eat all of it.
Okay.
And then that's gone. Average single family tax bill, it would be $130 increase. So,
It's worthwhile thinking about.
you know, that's something to bring forward, and that's what I would feel comfortable explaining to the residents. And I know there's a bunch that would say, you're full of it, you'll never get rid of it. You don't, overrides technically are a full mechanism that's supposed to be in there forever. But we would have to word it that it would drop off.
Essentially, a
Yeah.
debt exclusion
And I think
instead, yeah.
that's the type of tool the legislature should give us. To be able to say, we will vote this in
Mhm.
because it is a short term. And we have a lot of communities in Plymouth County trying to push this out and going out to Plymouth County Retirement Board, asking them to push it out. Pushing it out is, I don't know how else to phrase it. It's like moving to a 40 or a 50-year mortgage, but it's adjustable and all that extra interest is going right on that, and making your payment go up. So I get it, is if you're looking in the short term, you're looking to survive a year, you'd ask them, push it out, so I save 100 or 200 grand. But it doesn't make sense in the long run. I think it hurts the community.
So some towns, as you know, everybody's hurting for money, talking overrides and stuff. To try to balance it off is reducing community preservation money. Instead of that 3%, one town went down to 1.5%.
Some have dropped also.
Huh?
Some have dropped. The problem with the community preservation is the city of Boston and Worcester, and a couple other big cities have merged in, and what we used to get is only a fraction of them.
Oh, I get all that part, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you said that money was gonna go down, because you can put it back up again down the road, if you so choose to.
Yeah.
You know, just, because right now people are worried about groceries, how much your groceries and,
But the long-term benefits are not trivial.
No, but you have to with
you gotta be able to sell it somehow.
Yeah,
you
again,
know, with the override, the problem is, as of today, you vote the override and you have to vote it out. Which shouldn't be a problem to vote it out. But you have to vote it out.
yeah.
I'd love to see them change the law.
And that's what I'm saying, it should be for things like this, for pension, you know, to get the catch up. They've talked about doing certain things like medical insurance, make that exempt from 2.5, but I mean, that's 2.5 is so ingrained, it's really difficult to take away. And for years, it didn't really work, but inflationary pressures were not as bad. And once it got bad, not only was it cost of the goods and services, but then employees needed to be compensated because they were falling behind. And that's what you saw, so.
Let's consider the median income for Wareham, do you know?
For the, what do you call it? We're in 30,000 range for the, but it's going to depend on which one you're looking at for the, I can't think of it. But I'm thinking about the one where, you know, they talk about, we have somebody who likes to use that. It's basically it includes every child 1 day old to seniors at 104, so per capita income. Per capita income's a really good one to use if you wanna show that, talk about low income, because again, it doesn't really mean, you know, that's what people actually earn, it's just spread out across, everybody.
Well, we were mentioning the money and how much it would be. My marketing mind kicked in, how to sell it to someone who's making 30, 40,000.
This is an allergy, by the way.
Too, at Damien's and even Woodland Cove, a family of 3 making $115,000 is eligible for food assistance, for housing assistance. 100K is not worth what it was before.
No.
And before that, you could, on the milkman's salary, you could have a home, a car, and, you know, raise a family, maybe have a boat. You can't do that, so.
A third of this town is retired.
Yeah. And, you know, there's different types of retirees. not every retiree is broke by far. But they are on fixed income no matter what their level are. So you have to be cognizant of that. And a lot of people did not plan when they retired for this sort of inflationary environment that we went through. So that's the Plymouth County. So you're seeing some of the cost drivers. Workers' comp 111F actually going down. If you remember, we were over 700,000 at one time. So low severity and number of claims has helped create a low experience. Continued training has helped reduce the claims. General liability and insurance, we've increased the general liability deductible for buildings for $10,000 from $5,000. Fleets from 500 to 1,000. So we are getting a decrease in FY '27. But what I'm going to do is ask to put $200,000 aside from free cash for deductibles.
I was gonna say, you're gonna have to pay it one way or the other.
One way or the other. It's not dissimilar. We took unemployment out of the budget because good years, you know, why are we laying somebody off to keep unemployment in there? So, again, it's a small one-time gimmick that gives you a slight relief. So, I don't say gimmick, I should say strategy. So, Upper Cape Cod Tech. I don't think I brought in the full assessment over on this slide yet, so I'll update that. But again, yeah, I got the call about 17 students. I never heard from Warren, but I heard from Roger from Upper Cape Cod Tech. I looked through them, looked through all the assessors cards, everything, confirmed the 14. And that was about a $258,000 increase. A few weeks later, they called again, said we've got these 11 more, and I said, you gotta stop because it's just everybody has these numbers beforehand. Luckily, we did push back because I think about 5 of those turned out to not be. You start knowing roads in your own town after a while, including ones that are in like at the 40Bs and other things. And I was able to point out to them what were, I was bringing to the meeting because I looked at it and found out what was theirs, and they fessed up to it at that meeting. But this was a real interesting one. So that's that actually, we're closer to 3.99 million. And I couldn't tell from Kevin if he was talking about the 7% increase with those students, if that was the number he meant, because that's not an actual increase. Those were the students that were not accounted for before that are actually an assessment. That's, it was a tough one to battle, obviously. So, the next kick in just change in the for costs coming down, state assessments. So they continue to rise. So you can see they've gone up by about almost $800,000, just under. But the largest increase was charter school sending at $308,450. And school choice was about $250,000, and then the retired teachers was a little over $200,000. And that makes sense because that's about 10%. We were at 10% for our health as well. So we're looking at total charter and choice by almost $500,000. So that's those are the ones that really beat us up. So looking at it for the budget docs, I started trying to look at a couple different versions of what we're going to do here. We go through really, when I looked at it, it was the town. If you remember what you got from the town departments, you were well over $1 million, almost $1.2 million in funding. And there were some positions that are needed, like a assistant municipal maintenance director. we will lose Dave Menard within 4 years to retirement. You can't replace him, and we will lose the number 2, Glenn, over there at the same time. At that point, you know, we've got some talented crew in there, but we don't have anybody that really wants to take that step up to management. This is a difficult town knowledge-wise, just the nooks, the crannies, like every town is, but if, you know, where I'm taken to on some of these trips, you know, I don't know if Dave's ever going to let me come back if it's if it's a one-way trip, but it's a tough town to know. And what was interesting was there was an issue with drainage once, and he said, yeah, 15 years ago, we put a plastic pipe in there. I told him it was junk and it wasn't gonna work. And pulled it up, and that was, he knew, you know, and we're going to lose that. And we need somebody in there during this time for him to help educate and bring along. And we obviously, I'm not funding that in this budget because that's an additional position. We're doing some changes in some of the departments. You know, we don't have the finance director anymore, we have the treasurer collector. We potentially will have an assistant treasurer collector. That may leave another spot open within the department that we won't be filling. Kind of same thing going on over at the assessing department. Planning, we just filled a clerical position at a part-time. These aren't things I wanna do, there's things we need to do to make this, you know, bring this in line. Matt's capital budget, his expense was a massive increase. Arctic Wolf and whoever we use thereafter, I'm going to bring them forward as a capital item for 3 years, which brings them into the capital range. Should technically be within the budget, but this is going to give us some relief in another one of the software packages. And these are the type of things that we're moving out of there, but they have to be paid for. We can't not do it for double negative. So I looked at it and people say, oh, 660,000 for the town and, you know, 548,101 for the school department. So if I add to the 548,181, the Cape Cod tax costs, because those are Wareham students, 341,138. School choice, 247,837. Charter, $308,450. That's a total of $1,445,606. We get $2,105,681 to split between us. Don't forget, out of that 2 million, a million's directly from the motor vehicle excise, almost $1 million. So when I looked at those numbers, 69% of the funding is going to education, not including benefits or anything else, and 31% to the town. And that is a beyond fair ratio. So and I understand what Chairperson Whiteside was saying. You know, we're working towards it. We got there, and I was not hearing no from them on it. You know, there will be people that will come up. There will be school committee members that will advocate and fight against this, and you know that's understandable. That's why they're there, right? But again, as you said, we are a whole community. I feel we work well with them, and there is understanding that we can't just manufacture and make this stuff up.
Your new school superintendent, I think, will be more in tune with what we have to do. Her reputation is extremely conservative. And I have a lot of faith in her coming in and actually doing something. Just so you know.
That's been great. So
we'll see how it works.
You know, so looking forward to work with Amy as well. Was on the initial committee. I thought it was great that the school included me on the vetting process for the additional to present the sent, a couple people up for them for hiring, so. It's a lot worse in other communities by far, the fighting back and forth, so.
It's not pleasant.
So one of the things that we have two sets of pay scales in this town. There's every department except the school department, and then there's the school department. The inequity in pay for people who do the same job is
Substantial.
it's not, okay, so we've thrown this one about, but why isn't there one accounting department? Why isn't there one municipal maintenance department? Instead of having, two sets of, what are their janitors, whatever they're called today. Why isn't that part of what's not today, but something that people look at on a long-range basis?
So I do look at it.
Well,
We
you may,
did it with the
but they don't.
mechanics. The mechanics did not save any money. It gave us greater efficiency. In snow and ice operations, we can dedicate 4 people towards the snow and ice fleet. When the buses need to be done, we can dedicate 4 people. During the year, they're split, their duties, but when push comes to shove, the goal is to try and get them focusing on it. They have about 1.5 million in salary for fields and grounds, custodians, I think something else, buildings and such. That's almost what we have in salary for a municipal maintenance department, so I get it. But at the same time, the only thing is potentially we can get some efficiency, but unless we're shutting down their buildings and doing anything else, it's swapping another headache over for us for.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking more of accounting and IT where it's sort of more obvious. We have 3 people, 4 people in IT. How many do they have? And so why isn't there one IT department that services the town? Are they paid the same? I don't think so. So I just think the inequality, it really rankles me, obviously. But I think that's part of what needs to be looked at on the long term. I agree with Jody, if they're not thinking about regionalization, then they're not as bright as I would hope that they would be, and they're not interested in the overall education. If you look at the numbers, they stay here in the, through the 5th or 6th grade or something, and then they begin the flight. Well, they begin the flight because we take kids in who've been bounced out of several other school systems, and they go here. One of the school committee members thinks that we should keep school choice. I don't. I think it's absolutely the worst thing that ever happened to us. If you ask some of the kids who stay here, it's because they're the good kids and they have parents and they have, they have backups. That's not what we're attracting with school choice. So I don't know, the whole municipal financing is difficult because everybody else says, well, the school department and the town.
No, it's all the one.
And it's all one, and that's what really, it just continues to rankle me. It's rankled me for 40 years, so it isn't gonna change.
Yeah, and I get it, and the only thing is why I would push to vote a balanced budget in this manner is by state law, once you set the school budget, you can't reduce it. So just remember that, so that's why. You can't reduce it.
Well, the town sets it.
Yeah, so
The
that's.
town meeting sets it.
Town meetings.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So the town meeting, and I asked Rich this question, if we exit the town meeting with a non-balanced budget, we have a special, and we have a special, and we have another special until we have a balanced
Right, yeah.
budget. So
So my thought is, because I know the legislature, we will not usually get a finished budget from them till after July 1,
Right.
sometimes into
It's usually
September.
August.
That's why you have an October town meeting. You can, if there's additional revenues, you can bring them in. Some might say, well, you've done the damage, you've already laid off or something like that. But what I've always said is, if you have to give a certain announcement, and if you're laying off at the end of October, which is essentially starting to happen in November, if you need to cut 200,000, you actually need to cut closer to 400,000 to
That's
make
right.
up that impact.
Right.
So.
One to replace one. You know what kills me is, I've been looking at the numbers and stuff, and it's not, I feel bad because for some reason we seem to be attracting more mass of special ed kids that have really severe problems. And I was looking at the numbers, and I think the low number for Wareham is, with the number of kids is $80,000.
Yeah.
But we have one child who actually lives on my street, and I really feel bad. That child is $480,000 a year.
And we just picked up another one at $500,000 a year.
I mean, how do you
But
run a
most of
budget?
that is guided by requirements.
Yeah, we have no choice.
Right.
But I'm just saying, how do you run a
So our
balanced budget in your
system-
school?
Well, for our system, they got paid 500,000. If they go to that system over in Marion, they have to pay the same amount.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate they're here with us.
We're easy to get to because of our tax rate and the cost of homes actually, because we're low. So it's easy to move here. If they wanted to move to Marion, it costs them probably twice as much to get there.
Yeah.
Rochester is running into the same problem now. They've shut off, school choice coming into them. 'Cause I have a friend who's the chair of the finance committee over there, Jimmy Austin from Cape Cod 5. They're running into problems with the school as well. So they've actually gone ahead and cut off school choice.
We're talking about monies here, I call it paper clips and toilet paper. And unfortunately, they don't even address in the budget the level of learning that's going on over there. They had one meeting all year with respect to what the reading level is, the math level is, and you never hear it again. And it's not in this budget. You would think they'd be advocating, they have a problem with that level.
Well, good news is ORR, we brought them into Mayflower as well
Yeah.
as Lakeville. So,
But they refuse to take Carver, is my understanding.
yes, correct, Carver was not a good match with what they had for their run rates and such.
Yeah, we all remember what happened with the town administrator that we did not accept, we accepted you instead. And he went and spent all kinds of money for all kinds of things in Carver. And Carver is, I believe, 40 teachers cut as of right now.
Look, it's,
It's hard.
and it's tough in a lot of these communities, and then every community that had issues with strikes and stuff, they had the override the next year attempt and they failed. So it's, everybody's feeling the pinch. We're also seeing, we're seeing good jobs. We're also seeing millionaires leaving.
It is tax.
So, I understand that's shocking to some, but they vote with their wallet.
Yes, they do.
And I was listening today to the talk about how everything for the free tuition throughout all the community colleges, but also going towards UMass and things such as that, which is fantastic. It's great. But that's where all the fair share money went. And then on top of that, we reduced lunch for every single community in the Commonwealth, for free lunch, which fantastic. But we already qualified for that because of our nature and having over 51% of our kids at poverty level, if you will. Now you have wealthy communities that could afford that should have been doing the right thing, taking care of some of the kids, not embarrassing them, because I think that is terrible. They deserve to eat, and that's, for some of them, just because you're in a wealthy community doesn't mean your family has the money. But they put them ahead, right? They leapfrogged them. We were held to the same monetary value of what we were already getting, and they gave more to them. I'm just like, in a way, it pushed us further down or separate. So it just drove me a little crazy. all that money is going towards stuff, like $25,000 for people to buy new homes. All right, well, guess what? These kids, I mean, these teachers are middle income, middle class. If we're cutting 40 middle class, who's buying the homes? And if you put 25,000 in everybody's pocket to buy a home, what happens to the home prices? We just saw it. So it's just this
You know,
pushing money away. There's another word. I
If the
want to
government got involved in paying for childcare, what all childcare prices do?
Of course.
Sky high.
this is gonna be the easiest year.
Yeah,
because of
exactly.
Stagflation,
You're right.
and stagflation means that the state's gonna have less revenue in coming years to give to the,
And the dollar's worth less.
yeah. So whatever you can do this year, it certainly is gonna be a one-time
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Because if you use your accounting methods, your tricks, whatever you wanna call it, that's one-time trick.
Right.
And I think that one-time trick is you're starting with the excise tax on the auto.
correct.
And if that doesn't happen, you know, that trick wasn't as good as we had hoped.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
and that's what we've tried to keep in our back pocket. And I had the union member over at the school write a letter of complaint that we weren't, you know, doing all our taxes and raising all the local receipts and stuff. And you know, I let them know exactly what we're doing, sent the email, school committee, how we handle it, how everything, you know, and also if we wanted to be really difficult and say, what the hell does motor vehicle excise have to do with education? You know, if I wanted to be mean about, because we know if people are leaving, if the kids are leaving, those coming in with vehicles aren't coming in for the schools. That's what you'd say, but you know, I believe we're all in it together, so.
You know, and another thing is, I'm hearing a salary is $90,000 for 10 months of work. So if you, huh? So, and if you measure a person's worth by what they're paid, it seems to me that everybody is worth the same amount. Individual, humans are human, right? So I don't understand the balance. How did some people measured by the salary they're getting become more valuable than others?
Teachers
It's just,
union.
it never was, when I was in school, it was never like that. And all of a sudden, and I can tell you it's unions, it got out of balance. It's crazy. And here we are,
Steps and
because of
lanes
strong union.
Yeah, steps and lanes are built on, you know, years of service, you're supposed to be a better employee, well, but also education, so if you get your masters, you know, as you're coming through, it jumps you through the lanes and stuff, so.
As you get a better degree, your pay
Well,
increases.
you can say that in any profession.
But I get it, yeah, we've got it for police and some of the
Yeah,
educational,
Yeah,
so.
it's levels, you know, grade levels and steps across. Everyone, I mean, most people do have that. And yet, the school seems to me that here's everybody else's matrix and here's the school's matrix. Right.
So this is again, I apologize, it's not the complete, they'll put that together, you know, but this is where landed, I've met with department heads multiple times on their budgets. I wasn't joking when I told you that what you saw from them presenting wasn't going to be the final product. You know, municipal maintenance pretty flat. Police have deleted one senior level position that we won't be funding and kind of moved it out, but we need something else there for what's coming down the pike, so.
But you know, you're saying that we met early February, these not the final
Yeah.
budgets. Why didn't the schools pick up on that?
Oh,
Come on,
Jody.
are you serious?
You're
No,
putting the
I'm just
presumption,
throwing it out there, I'm just saying,
They gave
you,
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 they gave you the same budget they had before.
and you're from Stoughton too.
Yeah, you should know better.
I go home and listen to it, please.
I'm gonna
But
I'm gonna call
you
her
knew
ahead of time.
last fall that things were gonna be bad. I didn't think they were gonna be this bad.
They didn't believe us.
But-
Well, there was a couple hits that were unexpected. We knew it would be tough and we said it, you know, so it's.
They expected Derek to bail them out because we've done it year after year. So it's not your fault, but we basically enabled that system to continue year after year. You know, and all of a sudden, it's like you went off the diving board, there's no water below you. So, and it's, you know, what do you wanna do?
My wife's out of town, so I'm going to try and get my kids back. I actually missed it. Wasn't Maggie has her big school presentation today, so I couldn't help her with the last of it. So
You should have
we're
zoomed
due
it.
tomorrow. So
You could have zoomed in, you know that.
no, it was fine. This is much
But
better.
family
so.
comes first, kid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, we still have a few more things to do on the agenda. Do you wanna meet next Monday night and just do all the voting and do a few other things? It'd be a half-hour, 45-minute meeting, or you wanna stay tonight?
What day is the
What do you need
meeting?
to accomplish tonight?
We got 2 minutes, we gotta vote on all the articles we've already listened to.
Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Derek.
So
Why don't we go ahead and do what we
we're
have?
meeting next Tuesday, so if
Hannah's not.
if you met
Oh.
Monday and did all
Yeah.
your voting,
You got it.
and then one of you, I mean,
Jody, since Alan just pointed out Brianna's not on, so probably wait till next week.
Yeah, 'cause she's not here.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Well-
fair.
Dominic, where's Dominic?
Dominic,
I think Dominic stayed away because of his position with Upper Cape.
No, he's,
No?
no,
is he on his cruise?
I believe so.
Well, never mind, sorry. I thought it would
So
be
he
actually
doesn't
smart.
even know what
We're gonna
happened.
do our voting next week, we've done nothing.
Then we should vote next week on Monday on the agenda. So the select board gets our vote that way, knows what we did.
All right, so I'll post a meeting for us next Monday night.
And what day is Monday?
What day is Monday? Today's the, it'll
22nd.
be the 30th.
Okay, because I have to go
Judith.
before the
I
planning
just wanted
board
to
for,
let you know, This
yeah.
isn't
All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
You're sitting
So moved.
No, no,
next to me
I knew
all
that.
night
No,
long.
I knew
All in
that.
favor?
Listening
Aye.
to
Yeah.
my sniffles.
No.
Non-debatable.
Someone's
At,
perfume.
at 9:05.